Your chest tightens like a fist closing around a small bird. The room feels smaller, louder, sharper, as if every sound has teeth. Your thoughts sprint ahead without you, stitching worst-case scenes in quick, brutal frames. What if you say the wrong thing? What if they see through you? What if you can't pull this off? Your breath forgets its job. Your palms run warm, your shoulders creep toward your ears. The clock seems hungry and you are its meal. Sound familiar. You've trained for excellence, not for ambushes from inside your own skin. Here's the promise: anxiety is not an enemy you must defeat. It's raw material you can melt and recast. In the next hour, you'll learn to feel the first spark, keep your prefrontal lights on, and transform the spinning energy into quiet, targeted focus on command, not someday. In the next 60 seconds, then the next, then the next. You will build a reliable ritual you can carry into any room, any conversation, any deadline. And when the wave hits, you won't brace, you'll shape it. That punch in your chest, that's your amygdala hitting the alarm and borrowing blood flow from your thinking brain, perfectly normal. The problem isn't the alarm, it's the hijack that follows. Your job isn't to be fearless, it's to be skillful. You're going to learn emotional alchemy, a practical craft. Take the heat, distill the signal, redirect the current. Think of your mind as a weather system and your awareness as the sky. Storms roll in, the sky remains. You are the sky. The storm can be measured, named, and used. Start with a simple crucible. It's called the 90-second weather rule. When a surge of anxiety hits, do nothing grand. For 90 seconds, you will not argue with thoughts or fix your life. You will feel. Sit or stand tall enough that your lungs have room. Lower your gaze or close your eyes. Inhale for a slow count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. That 4-4-6 breath steals back blood for your prefrontal cortex and massages the vagus nerve like a calm hand on a skittish horse. For 90 seconds, you'll notice 3 layers: the bodily weather, tingle, heat, pressure, the naming of it. I am having the feeling of warm pressure under my sternum, and the simple kindness of letting it be there without forcing it to leave. Nothing mystical, biology cooperating with attention. Feel your shoulders now. Are they climbing? Let them drop by 2 invisible centimeters. Notice the temperature of the air against the skin just inside your nostrils as you inhale. It's cooler on the way in, warmer on the way out. Hear the faintest sound in the room, the refrigerator's hum, a distant car, your own breath. This is how you widen the frame. When the frame widens, options appear, anxiety narrows, awareness widens. You will train widening. Now the method that moves you from heat to aim, the emotional alchemy ladder. 4 rungs: name, normalize, narrow, nudge. First, name. This is anxiety, not I am anxious, which fuses your identity with the weather, but anxiety is arising. Second, normalize. My brain is running a safety drill. It believes something matters. This removes shame and resets the inner social threat detector. Third, narrow. Choose one specific sensation or thought to attend to, like a lab tech isolating a sample. Instead of drowning in everything, pick the tightness behind my sternum or the thought that I'll mess up the first sentence. Fourth, nudge. Perform one tiny behavior that proves you are in motion. Micro actions beat macro intentions. Lift your chin 1 degree. Speak the first 5 words. Write the subject line. Place 1 foot into the next square of the day. A story to anchor this. In a fluorescent conference room that smelled faintly of dry erase marker and lemon cleaner, you watched Matteo, a product lead with a soft voice and a huge deadline. The board had questions. He could feel the heat rising in his face, the telltale shimmer behind the eyes. 2 months of work and now blankness. He swallowed, heard the rush in his ears like wind in a tunnel, and almost apologized to the room for existing. Instead, he caught himself. 90 seconds, he thought. He placed both feet flat, pressed his thumbs into the pads of his index fingers, and breathed 446. He named it, "Anxiety is here." He normalized, "My brain thinks this is important." He narrowed just the first slide title. He nudged, "Say one sentence." He spoke a calm, plain line. "I'll begin with the customer's 3 biggest pain points." Heads tilted forward. The room returned. The board nodded. The wave turned into focus, and focus turned into leadership. He didn't conquer anxiety. He rerouted it like a river into a mill. Science footnote, minimal but useful. Your reticular activating system is the brain's filter. Under stress, it highlights threat-colored data. When you give it a clear target, one sentence, one breath, one concrete sensation, you retune the filter. The chemistry follows the instruction. This is not positive thinking, it's precise thinking. You use the same adrenaline that was about to scatter you to sharpen you instead. The body supplies the current, your attention lays the rails. Try the window widen protocol now. It's simply a 2-step expansion. First, zoom into one sensation for 3 breaths. Second, zoom out to include the room. For 3 breaths, feel the weight of your body in the chair or on your feet. Track where your shirt touches your skin. After 3 breaths, let your attention include the edges of the room, the left wall, the right wall, the ceiling, or the sky if you're outside. Imagine your awareness stretching like soft rubber until it contains both your body and the space. Notice what happens to the urgency. It usually drops by 10 to 30%. That's enough to get your hands back on the wheel. Check in with your mouth and jaw. Are your molars kissing too hard? Invite your jaw to hang heavy for a moment. Let your tongue rest broad and flat like a friendly manta ray on the seafloor. Notice the taste in your mouth, neutral or metallic, or the echo of coffee. Feel the temperature on the back of your neck. Anxiety often collapses us forward. Gently lift the back of your head as if a string were attached to a quiet star. Breath slides in easier. The brain reads posture as data. Upright signals, we have options. Options create focus. Next tool, label, locate, lower. You label the experience in 12 plain words or fewer. I'm having the thought that I'll freeze. Then you locate it in the body. Where? Maybe it's a buzzing under the ribs, a small vortex under the left shoulder blade. Then you lower it by 5% with breath and posture. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Soften 1 ring of muscle around the sensation. 5% is humble, reliable. You can always lower 5%. Those 5% stack. Another story closer to home. Late night text fight. Your partner writes, "We need to talk tomorrow. This isn't working." That old stomach drop. Your heart beats high in your throat. Your mind starts building an exit. You want to fire off 7 paragraphs to control the narrative. Instead, you step into the kitchen timer ritual. 2 minutes on an actual timer. You place the phone face down, stand in the doorway like you're framing yourself in a picture, and breathe. You choose label, locate, lower. I'm having the thought that I'm losing them, located as hot pebbles at the top of your stomach, lowered by 5% with 2 slow exhalations longer than the inhalations. When the timer ends, you pick one sentence that is honest, bounded, and forward. I'm here to talk tomorrow. I care about us. Good night. You sleep. The storm doesn't vanish. It becomes weather instead of identity. It helps to understand why this works beyond the poetry. The amygdala fires not just at danger, but at uncertainty. If you give it a small, certain act, it calms. Micro-certainty in the body creates macro-clarity in the mind. The prefrontal cortex, your planning, language, and value center, reboots with the simplest of inputs: oxygen, posture, and a task box small enough to check. You aren't escaping anxiety. You're teaching your system that you can surf it without drowning. Touch your ribs gently with your fingertips and feel the rise on the inhale and the slide on the exhale. Hear the fabric rustle. Feel your feet. Is the left foot warmer than the right? If standing, rock forward so the weight kisses the balls of your feet, then back until your heels anchor. Find the middle. Middle is where choices live. From the middle, pick a nudge. If you're at a desk, place your cursor where the next sentence will begin. If you're walking into a conversation, picture the first question you'll ask. If you're avoiding a call, type the first name. That is emotional alchemy in motion. Here's your first daily micro-practice, the 2-minute melt. 3 times a day, waking, midday, evening, you'll pause for exactly 2 minutes. You'll run the 4-4-6 breath for 5 cycles, then climb the emotional alchemy ladder once, even if you feel fine. Name what's present: calm, bored, mild worry. Normalize it: human, narrow to one thread and nudge one action. Neuroplasticity loves repetition. You're not waiting for crisis, you're engraving a groove. A closing identity turn, because this matters more than any technique. You are not an anxious person. You are a person who experiences anxiety, and you are the one who notices. You are the awareness, not the emotion. The storm can be intense, the sky can be steady. The more you practice, the faster you'll recognize the first wind and reach for your tools without drama. There will still be days when it feels like too much. On those days, too, the ladder holds. Name, normalize, narrow, nudge. And then, once the wave passes, you'll look back and see that you didn't battle yourself. You trained your energy to serve your aim. Before we move on, test your command. Bring to mind a small pressure you've been avoiding: an email, a decision, a conversation. Don't pick the hardest one yet. Close your eyes for 1-4-4-6 breath. Name the feeling, say, anxiety is arising, or a flicker of resistance is here. Normalize it: my brain cares. Narrow to one step, draft the first line, or circle a time on the calendar, or open the doc. Then nudge, do the tiniest version now. Notice the texture in your chest, the way your breath changes, the temperature of your hands. This is you, already practicing emotional alchemy, already turning heat into aim. When you open your eyes, the room will be the same room, but you will occupy it differently. That is the quiet miracle we're after, not a life without weather, but a craft that uses every change in the wind. We'll build the craft part by part, drill by drill, until the moves are yours. You won't need to remember paragraphs. You'll remember the feel: weight in your feet, length in your exhale, the clean click of a tiny action taken. From here, we'll deepen the practice, sharpen the frames, and wire the identity that can hold them. Breathe once more. Feel the cooler air in, the warmer air out. Step. The rest follows. You're going to build a laboratory in plain sight. Not a sterile place with white coats, but a living room lab, a commute lab, a hallway outside a meeting lab. Anxiety becomes data, and data becomes direction. Today, you'll learn to move from raw signal to useful task with a repeatable bridge. Then you'll give your brain a new search term so it stops hunting for threat and starts spotting what helps. The craft names are simple so you can reach them when it's loud inside: the signal to task, bridge, and the RAS Retarget. With those, you will turn the background buzz into a dial you can adjust, then convert the dial's position into an action small enough to do now. Feel where your body is making contact with the world. If you're sitting, let your back meet the chair in 3 places: low spine, mid-spine, shoulder blades. If you're standing, notice how your socks grip your skin and how the floor returns your weight. Draw one breath in for 4, pause for a beat, let the air slide out over a count of 6. Hear something far away, then hear the nearest sound, the whisper of your own breathing. Let your eyes rest on something ordinary: a cup, a doorknob, a patch of light on the wall. You're teaching your nervous system that you can hold more than one channel at once. This is the ground for every move that follows. The signal to task bridge begins with a sentence you'll memorize. This sensation is a signal. My job is to translate it into the smallest true task. When the flutter hits, you will not debate your worth. You will not make prophecies. You will ask the bridge for its first plank, describe, not diagnose. There is a warm buzzing across my cheeks. There is a squeeze in my chest. There is a picture of failure playing in my mind. Saying there is instead of I am loosens the glue between weather and identity. Next plank, measure by a humble number. On a scale of 1 to 10, where is the intensity right now? Not 5 minutes ago. Not in theory. Now, the number is not moral. It's a handle. Final plank, ask the bridge question. Given this number, what is the smallest true task that would move me 1 inch toward what I value here? Not the perfect task. The smallest true task. The bridge delivers you to action before your thinking mind turns into a courtroom. A story to give it weight. In a small rehearsal studio with scuffed black floors and a single window facing an alley, Aria prepared for her first open mic night. She'd practiced the chords until they were grooves in her fingertips, but when the door clicked and a stranger's voice drifted in from the hallway, panic broke like a match. Her mouth went dry, her forearms felt fizzy and weak. Old stories hissed. You're an imposter, you'll forget the second verse, you'll shake and they'll see. She wanted to leave her guitar and run. Instead, she remembered the bridge. There is a fizz in my forearms, intensity 6. She lifted her chest 1 centimeter so her lungs had room and asked the next piece, smallest true task. It wasn't nail the night. It was play the first verse once without stopping. She set her phone upright as a silent witness, breathed the 4-4-6 once, and played the verse. Her hands steadied by 10%. The number dropped to a 4. The next smallest task, play the chorus once, eyes open. She did. The number softened again. By the time she stepped on stage hours later, the electricity was still there, but it lit the strings instead of her fear. She didn't become fearless. She became taskful. Notice your throat. Is it tight like a drawstring? Let the drawstring open a notch. Feel the coolness of the air brushing the back of your throat on the inhale and the gentle warmth leaving on the exhale. Place your thumb against the pad of your index finger and press, not hard, just enough to feel texture. Texture is an anchor you can carry anywhere. While you hold that anchor, recall a moment this week when anxiety pulled you sideways. Picture the room, see the colors. Hear whatever was happening, keyboard clicks, traffic, a friend's voice turning sharp. Place the scene on your bridge. Describe, measure. Ask for the smallest true task that would have honored what you value. If the value was clarity, perhaps the task was write 1 sentence that begins with what I'm trying to say is. If the value was care, perhaps the task was place a hand on the counter and soften your shoulders before you answer. Your brain loves closure. You will give it micro-closures on purpose. The second tool today works like a lens swap. Your reticular activating system, the RAS, a net of neurons in the brainstem, decides what reaches consciousness. Tell it to hunt for snakes, and it will find chords that look like snakes and vines that might be snakes and shadows that are suspiciously snakish. Tell it to hunt for a color, and a city becomes full of that color. Under anxiety, the default instruction is find proof we're not safe or adequate. The RAS Retarget gives it a lawful new instruction. Find the next viable step toward my aim. You write that instruction as a single physical world sentence, then repeat it inside your breath until your attention obeys. Find the first sentence I can say. Find the first email I can send. Find the one question that would clarify. Your RAS is a filter, not a judge. When you hand it a clean query, it returns options. We'll pair the retarget with a micro drill called Anchor Object. You choose one object that will be your cue, a mug, a ring, a wristwatch, a pen. Whenever you touch it, you run the RAS sentence once. Inhale through your nose on 4, silently say, find the next viable step. Hold on 4, exhale on 6, while you imagine the step appearing in your mind like a highlighted line in a document. You don't force the answer. You let your physiology and filter collaborate. Most days, the step will be obvious and small. On harder days, the step will be to ask for help. All days, you will have a step. Let's layer a strengthening practice. The 3-perspective reframe was built to keep your story engine honest. Anxiety writes extreme scripts. The reframe writes alternatives your brain can accept. You will generate 3 plausible lenses for any charged thought: a protective negative, a grounded neutral, and a hopeful specific. Not to trick yourself, but to keep choice alive. If the thought is, I'm going to bomb this interview, the protective negative might be, it might be awkward. Awkward isn't fatal. The grounded neutral, I will answer one question at a time. The hopeful specific, I can ask for a moment to think and buy back clarity. You craft these right after the bridge delivers your smallest task, so story and behavior support each other. The reframe is not a glitter sticker on panic. It's a pair of shoes you can actually walk in. Feel your lower ribs widen on the inhale like a book gently opening. Feel them knit on the exhale like a book closing. Is the air around you cool on your skin or warm? Name it. Scan your hands. Is one hand warmer? Is there a buzzing under your thumbnail where blood vessels pulse? These tiny observations aren't decoration. They're how you reclaim bandwidth from the alarm. Your amygdala cannot monopolize the channel when you deliberately fill it with sensory truth. The prefrontal cortex comes online when there is something concrete to manage. You're giving it concrete. Another story, this one about work and dignity. Jonah managed a small team at a startup that changed directions every other week. His calendar was a quilt of meetings, his inbox a small avalanche. On a Tuesday afternoon, he received a message that the demo he'd promised for Friday needed to be moved to tomorrow morning. Heat flashed through his stomach. A picture burst, him stumbling through half-finished screens while a senior VP frowned. The old script kicked in: apologize, overpromise, stay up all night, pay later. He caught himself and stood. He walked to the window and placed his hand on the cool glass. Describe: warm flutter in the stomach, intensity 7. Measure: ask, smallest true task that honors what I value. He valued honesty and craft. The task wasn't finish the entire demo by dawn. It was write a 3-sentence email. Here's what's polished, here's what's in progress, here's the one decision I need from you. Before he wrote, he touched the metal clip of his pen, his anchor object, and whispered his RAS instruction into a 4-4-6 breath. Find the next viable step. The sentence arrived. Start with the customer journey slide. It orients the room. He wrote the email, then built that slide with care. The intensity slid to a 4. He slept. The morning meeting went from performance panic to collaborative planning. He didn't become superhuman. He became precise. You may worry that shrinking tasks is avoidance in disguise. It isn't, because the bridge asks for the smallest true task, not the smallest convenient one. True means it connects directly to what matters in the moment. If you're hiding, the smallest true task will make that visible and invite a braver move. If you're spinning, the smallest true task will give the spin something to turn. Anxiety hates vagueness. It feeds there. You starve it with specificity. Let your jaw soften again. Notice the weight of your tongue in your mouth. Let your shoulders drop as if a warm hand pressed them down gently. If your brow is knitting, unfurrow it a fraction. Turn your head left and right slowly and let your eyes land on something that doesn't need you: trees, a ceiling corner, a picture frame. You are reminding your animal body that not everything is a problem. When your body believes that, it lends its energy back to your aim. Now build your first trigger map, not as a spreadsheet but as a quiet tour. Walk through your day in your mind like a camera panning a familiar street. Notice where spikes live, the badge ding, the mirror in the morning, the doorway to a certain office, the sight of your bank app, the text ellipsis blinking. Choose one trigger, not all. Run the bridge on that one. Then choose an anchor object you'll encounter near that trigger. If the trigger is the bathroom mirror, maybe your anchor is the tap handle. If the trigger is email, maybe your anchor is the trackpad. Tie the RAS Retarget to that anchor. Each time you touch it, you ask for the next viable step toward the value that scene calls for: clarity, contribution, connection, steadiness. This is how your day becomes a circuit for training, not a gauntlet. Add one more small ritual. The 90-second weather rule you met earlier grows a sibling called the two-question gate. When you feel a surge and you're about to react, you ask two questions in the length of a single breath hold. What am I trying to protect? And what would one step of courage look like? Protection names the amygdala's motive. Courage gives the prefrontal cortex a brief. Often, the protection is dignity or belonging. Often, the step of courage is a clean sentence or a boundary said kindly. You pass through the gate and do the step. Courage grows in single breaths repeated, not in speeches delivered once a year. There will be moments when none of this feels elegant. You might forget the names. You might remember only fragments. There is a number, the idea of a next step. That's enough. You're not auditioning for calm, you're building capacity. Neuroplasticity favors what you repeat with attention. Every time you translate signal to task, you lay a tiny strip of myelin on a path in your nervous system. Over weeks, the path becomes a road. Over months, a highway. And when the weather turns, as it always does, you'll find yourself taking the on-ramp without thinking, breath steady, eyes soft, hands sure. Hold the identity line again because it quietly runs the whole machine. You are the awareness that notices signals and chooses tasks. You are not the surge. You are the sky that receives weather and decides where the rainwater goes. When you believe this for even a few seconds at a time, your tone changes, your posture opens, your timing improves. People feel it before you do. Anxiety might still visit, it just won't get to drive. Close this session with a live drill. Bring to mind a task you've delayed, see its edges. Listen for the excuses that pop up, don't wrestle them. Describe one sensation right now. Name your number, ask your bridge question. Let the RAS Retarget phrase form in your breath. Find the next viable step toward completion. Touch your anchor object if it's nearby. If not, use your thumb and finger as a portable stand-in. Wait for the tiniest instruction to surface. Open the file, write the subject line, put the meeting on the calendar, type the first question, lay out the running shoes by the door. Do that one thing. Feel the click of it. Hear the small exhale your body gives when a loop closes. This is the sound of you shaping the wave. As you return to your day, keep the laboratory open. The floor is still under your feet. The air still moves at the edges of your nostrils. The world still hums at its two distances, far and near, and you can hear both. The signal to task bridge is yours. The RAS Retarget is yours. The three-perspective reframe is yours. Use them not as spells to banish experience, but as tools to sculpt it. The more you sculpt, the more your hands remember their craft. And when someone asks what changed, you won't list techniques. You'll say quietly, I began turning signals into steps. Today you'll learn to turn anxiety's edge into clarity about where you end and the world begins. Boundaries aren't walls, they're edges with doors. Anxiety spikes when edges blur, when your brain can't tell whether to please, fight, or disappear. You'll build two clean tools, the boundary compass and the four-sentence line. The compass tells you which direction your energy should travel, inward, outward, pause, or exit, so you stop leaking attention. The line gives you a script structure that works under pressure, a way to speak without spikes or apology. Together, they turn social electricity into grounded presence. Feel your breath where it touches the top lip. Cool on the inhale, warm on the exhale. Notice your shoulders. Let each shoulder drop the distance of a coin. Hear the nearest sound, then the furthest sound. Let your eyes soften their focus until edges blur, then gently bring them into crispness again. That tiny zoom teaches your nervous system range. You can soften and sharpen at will. Range is boundary in the body. Here's the boundary compass. Imagine a simple face with four cardinal points. North is inward, attention to your own state and needs. East is outward, curiosity and care toward the other person. South is pause, delay the decision. West is exit, leave the scene or end the exchange. Anxiety is often a compass jam. You try to do all four at once, or you lock onto one and forget the others. The practice is to check the compass before you act. Ask, which direction serves the value here? If you're flooded, north first, inward for 90 seconds of breath and naming. If the other person needs data, east, outward with a clarifying question. If the context is muddy, south, pause with a time frame. If the line is crossed or harm is likely, west, exit cleanly, one direction at a time. A story to ground it. You promised your sister you'd help her move on Saturday morning, then your boss scheduled a make-or-break client call at the same time. You feel the squeeze, heat at the collarbones, that tight band around the back of your neck. The old pattern is to overpromise both ways and live in apology. You reach for the compass. North, inward. You breathe 4-4-6 once, label the weather, pressure in the neck, intensity 5, and ask, what do I value? You value integrity and care. East, outward. You text your sister a clarifying question. What's the critical window when you truly need me? She says, between 7 and 9 for the heavy stuff. After that it's boxes. South, pause. You tell your boss, I can move the call to 9:30 or 2, which protects the relationship best. He says 9:30. West, exit from the impossible version. You decline the overlapping slot without drama. You show up for the heavy lift at 7, take the call at 9:30. The band around your neck loosens. Anxiety didn't vanish. It obeyed a direction. Scan your chest. Is there a stiff plate behind your breastbone? Let the exhale lengthen by one silent count. Feel your feet. If you're standing, press the big toe lightly into the floor, then release. If you're sitting, press the outer edges of your feet into the ground as if widening your base. Stability is not a concept. It's a vector through your bones. When your skeleton lines up, your words do too. Now the speaking tool, the 4-sentence line. It's a template under duress, 4 short sentences delivered with a steady, humane tone. Context, boundary, option, care. Context shows you see the scene. Boundary states your limit without apology. Option offers a path forward that honors both sides. Care names the relationship. Under anxiety, people either give only care, whatever you need, or only boundary, I can't. The line holds both. You'll practice it out loud because the mouth needs reps. Try a low-stakes example. I hear you want this by today. I don't commit to same-day turnarounds. I can send a draft by noon tomorrow or a polished version by Friday morning. I want this to land well. Feel how the jaw wants to rush or add a justification. Let it relax. Keep the sentences clean. If you're challenged, you repeat the line once without adding heat. The line is a rail, hold it. Another story, fluorescent and real. Priya worked in a clinic where every minute felt like a triage. A colleague regularly asked her to squeeze in an extra patient before lunch. She hated saying no. She also left every day with a throb behind her eyes. One Wednesday, as the request arrived, the throb began. She felt her breath hitch. Boundary compass, north for 1 breath, naming throb behind eyes, intensity 4. East to acknowledge, I see your schedule just exploded. West wasn't necessary, harm wasn't imminent. South wasn't right, delaying would only create more crunch. She chose east, followed by the 4-sentence line. I see your schedule just exploded. I don't add patients to the pre-lunch block. I can swap 2 charts this afternoon or take 1 patient at 4:30. I want the team to feel supported. The colleague pushed. Priya repeated the 2nd and 3rd sentences word for word, slower. The throb eased to a 2. They chose 4:30. Priya ate lunch, saw her afternoon on time, and walked to her car with clear eyes. Training, not magic. Feel the air on your forearms. If there's sweat, let it be data, not a verdict. Smell the room for a beat, paper, soap, rain. There's more world than the problem. Let a corner of that world touch you. Your amygdala learns safety from worldness, perception that extends beyond the threat. This isn't denial, it's right-sizing. Use a micro drill that locks the compass and the line into muscle, the doorframe rehearsal. Before you enter any room where your edges blur, pause with 1 hand on the frame. Whisper the compass directions under your breath, north, east, south, west, like points you could choose. Then speak your 4-sentence line once with any content you like. Say it not to be agreeable, but to be clear. 5 seconds. Then enter. You are telling your nervous system, we have options and a voice. Your reticular activating system can help here too. Give it a new search phrase when boundaries are required. Find the smallest honest sentence. Repeat it on a single 4-4-6 breath. Your RAS stops collecting tiny cues that you're failing and starts noticing openings. A pause in the other person's speech. A raised eyebrow that invites a clarifying question. A chair you can sit in to slow the tempo. You don't need the whole script. You need the next honest sentence. There will be days when your boundary evokes someone else's anxiety. That is not a sign you are wrong. It's a sign that you altered the usual dance. Your job is not to manage their weather. It's to stand in yours with the door open. You can widen compassion without abandoning clarity. That's what the 4-sentence line does. It lets care and limit share 1 breath. If someone escalates, you can rotate the compass to west. I'm going to step out now. We can pick this up at 2. A west is not punishment. It's a safety choice. Check your jaw again. Unclench by placing the tip of your tongue on the ridge behind your front teeth. Let the back of your neck lengthen as if the crown of your head was subtly drawn upward by a thread. This tiny posture change tells the old mammal inside you that you're not prey. Prey collapses and scurries. You are not prey. You are the one who notices and chooses. Time to add a layer called the trust ledger, not a spreadsheet, an inner count of promises made and kept to yourself. Anxiety spikes when your brain has evidence that you'll abandon your own edges. The ledger rebuilds trust in units you can cash. Each time you speak a boundary or honor a pause, you make a deposit. Each time you say yes when you mean no, you withdraw. The drill is simple. Each evening, speak 1 deposit out loud. Ledger, I paused before replying to that text. Speaking it calibrates your identity. You become the kind of person who protects their energy without drama. A story about the ledger. Marcos always answered immediately. Every ping, every call. His friends praised him for being so responsive, and he wore that praise like a medal that cut his skin. One Friday, after a week of 6-hour sleep and a stomach that behaved like a clenched fist, he decided to test a new edge. He set his phone to deliver messages every 30 minutes instead of instantly. The first half-hour felt like holding his breath underwater. He imagined disasters multiplying in the dark. He checked the compass. North body scan, intensity 7446 breath. East one line to his closest teammate, experimenting with batch replies, urgent, call. South give it a day, not forever. West exit the reflex to explain. By evening his neck loosened. He made his first ledger deposit. I protected my attention for 30 minutes at a time. The next week he kept the setting. The medal stopped cutting. The anxiety didn't vanish. It softened into a signal he could translate. Touch the table or your knee with your fingertips and notice texture, grainy, smooth fabric weave. Let the exhale run a fraction longer than the inhale. Near the bottom of the breath, pause for a beat where nothing happens. That small emptiness is a room inside the breath where choice grows. When you feel cornered, find that room. You'll now meet the boundary repair, a simple sequence for when you blow it, when you snap, cave, or ghost. The repair has 3 lines spoken in order, ideally soon but even days later works. First, ownership without self-violence. I didn't handle that the way I want to. Second, the line revised. Here's the boundary I meant to set. Third, forward path. Here's what I'll do next. No autobiography, no courtroom. You repair with spine and warmth. People who can repair are trustworthy. You will become one of them. Try it in your mouth. I didn't handle that the way I want to. I don't discuss budgets over text. I'll send a time for a call tomorrow. Feel the steadiness in your ribs when you deliver a clean repair. Your nervous system likes closure more than perfection. Anxiety loves the open loop. You'll close loops kindly. If your chest is tight again, place one palm on the sternum and one on the belly. Breathe so the lower hand rises first. Let your upper hand feel the echo second. That reversal, belly first, chest second, signals safety to the vagus nerve. You are sneaking a message past the alarm. Here's a field drill you can use today, the 2-chair check. Before a charged conversation, place 2 chairs facing each other in your mind. Sit in your chair first. Speak your 4-sentence line to the empty chair. Then stand, switch chairs in your imagination, and listen as if you were them. What do they fear? What do they want? Now return to your chair and choose a compass point. This 30-second rehearsal gives your prefrontal cortex a map. When the moment comes, it recognizes the terrain and spends less glucose on panic. You enter the real room with a softer jaw and a clearer spine. Another story, intimate and ordinary. Tessa loved her dad and dreaded their Sunday calls. He asked about work and she felt 12 again, eager to be impressive. When she wasn't, his silence sharpened her. One Sunday, as her phone buzzed, she noticed her teeth pressing together. North, inward, clench, intensity 5. She breathed 446 twice. East, outward. Dad, before we dive in, will you start by telling me one highlight from your week? He laughed, surprised, and told a story about a neighbor's ridiculous lawn flamingos. The pressure eased. 10 minutes later, he said, "You should be further along by now." Old sting. West wasn't necessary. Harm wasn't imminent. South was. I'm going to pause on that. Let's talk about it next time. I'm thinking things through. Her chest lifted like a window opening. After the call, she wrote a trust ledger entry. I set a pause with Dad. It was a small sentence. It changed the shape of the week. Check the temperature at your temples. If warm, imagine a cool cloth laid there by a friend. Feel the back of your hands against the air. Rotate your wrists slowly, as if unscrewing a jar, then reverse. These tiny movements milk off excess adrenaline so your voice doesn't carry it. The body is not a container you need to silence. It is your collaborator. Sometimes the bravest boundary is inside your own head. Anxiety throws you a loop of self-criticism and calls it discipline. You can set a boundary with the voice itself. Use the thought bench. When a familiar spike thought arrives, you're behind, they're disappointed, you blew it. You sit it on the bench in your mind and speak a boundary. You may sit here for 90 seconds, you don't get to drive. Then you redirect with the signal to task bridge, smallest true task now. Your mind will test you. That's fine, hold the bench. When the 90 seconds end, if the thought is still there, you lower it by 5% with breath and posture and ask again for the smallest true task. Over time, the voice learns it will be heard but not obeyed. That's respect without surrender. Press your tongue flat again. Let your eyes land on an object that will still exist tomorrow. Feel your ribs expand side to side, not just up and down. Side to side breath opens the back body where stress hides. As the back opens, the front doesn't have to shout. Put it all together in a live scene. Picture the next request that tends to tilt you. See the person's face, the way their eyebrows move when they want something fast. Place one hand lightly on your thigh, anchor to texture. Whisper the compass points once. Pick a direction. Speak a draft of your 4-sentence line out loud, even if it feels odd. Listen to its clean edges. Now visualize yourself repeating it once if needed. See the moment you might choose south and schedule a time, or west and step away. Watch the scene end with dignity on both sides. Your nervous system is already rehearsing the moves. The future will feel like memory. Hold the identity line here in the center. You are the one who places edges with care. You are not a wall. You are a shoreline that shapes the sea. The sea can be loud. The shoreline doesn't apologize for existing. You are the awareness that chooses where the door opens and where the door closes. When you forget, you repair. When you wobble, you breathe. When you're pressured, you pick one compass point and take one true step. This is how anxiety becomes focus in relationships, in work, in your own mind. Close with a short practice you can do before sleep tonight. Lie down and place one hand over your heart, one over your belly. In your mind, replay the day in 3 brief scenes. In each scene, ask, where was the boundary? If there was none, imagine the 4-sentence line delivered. If there was one, feel the moment of placement like a click in a well-made latch. Whisper your ledger deposit. End by saying, I am the awareness, not the emotion. I am the shoreline, not the storm. Let the breath soften until the exhale is a warm ribbon sliding down the back of your throat. Let the room be the room, the night be the night. You will wake with a slightly clearer spine. That clarity is not an accident. It's your craft maturing. Today you'll learn to engineer focus as a bodily rhythm, not a mood you hope for. Anxiety scatters electricity, focus channels it. You'll build 2 systems that make channeling automatic, the focus circuit and the energy budget. The focus circuit is a 25-minute loop you can run anywhere. It collects your stray sparks and feeds a single flame. The energy budget is how you stop spending clarity on things that don't pay you back. Together, they move you from occasional wins to reliable momentum, even on messy days. Start by feeling your sit bones or your heels. If you're in a chair, rock a centimeter forward and back to find the point where your spine stacks itself like coins. If you're standing, let your weight settle into the triangle of big toe, little toe, heel. Draw air in for 4, pause with soft cheeks, let it leave for 6. Hear the nearest sound, maybe your own breath, a clock, a soft hum, then stretch your hearing outward until you catch the farthest sound. Your attention just widened like a lens. Anxiety collapses the lens. You are gently prying it open. Here is the focus circuit. It has 4 moves with simple names you can remember when your head is noisy. Clear, aim, sprint, seal. Clear means clear a small square of space, both in the room and inside your chest. Aim means choose one target and a visible end state. Sprint means move for 20 minutes with a body cue that keeps your prefrontal cortex online. Seal means close the loop with a physical gesture and a tiny review so dopamine lands in the right place and your brain decides to do this again. You'll learn it by doing. Clear, set a literal boundary for 25 minutes. If you can, close a door. If not, place an object at the edge of your desk, cup, book, folded scarf, and decide that inside this border lives one task. Turn your phone face down or into airplane mode, tell the room you'll be back. Inside your chest, clear by running the 90-second weather rule once. Name what is present, breathe 4-4-6, let it sit. You don't need perfect calm, you need a floor. Aim, write the smallest true unit of work on a scrap of paper in 12 words or fewer with a verb you can see. Draft intro paragraph. Outline 3 bullets for slide 2. Email Candice, reschedule to Thursday. The verb is crucial. Your basal ganglia, the action selector of your brain, loves clear verbs. If you write finish the project, the system yawns and wanders. If you write open the doc, write 4 sentences, the system perks up. Add a small visible end state, a tick mark box, a timer set for 20 minutes, a page count. Visibility helps your reticular activating system track progress and reduce alarm. Sprint, set a timer for 20 minutes. Sit or stand with posture that lets breath move. Add a body cue that keeps arousal in the productive middle gum, a steady foot press, a quiet hum on the exhale. Begin when the urge to check something arrives, and it will run the signal to task bridge in 5 seconds. There is a pull to check. Intensity 3, smallest true task, type the next sentence. Return, you aren't forbidding distraction, you are translating it and returning to aim. If you drift, you mark a small dash on the paper and come back. The dash becomes proof that you returned, not evidence you failed. Seal when the timer ends. Stop even if you feel you finally got on a roll. Stand, roll your shoulders back, and speak a 3-sentence seal to yourself. I aimed at X, I moved it by Y. Next tiniest step is Z. Check the box, put a dot next to the note, or tap the page twice with your finger. That tiny physical click is how your nervous system knows a loop closed. Dopamine lands, not because you finished a grand thing, but because you witnessed a closure. Loops that close invite more loops tomorrow. A story to show it breathing. In a subway car that smelled like iron rails and coffee, Leela balanced her laptop and dread. She promised to send a chapter to her editor in 2 days and had a snake pit of paragraphs that refused to line up. Anxiety made her a connoisseur of excuses and a collector of tabs. She decided to run the focus circuit between Canal Street and her stop 3 stations later. Clear, she placed her scarf as a border on her knees and breathed 1-4-4-6, naming tightness under the collarbone, intensity 4. Aim. On a receipt she wrote, draft the chapter's opening scene, 4 sentences. Sprint, she set a 20-minute timer and pressed the pad of her big toe into the train floor each time she hit a comma. When the man next to her took a louder call, the urge to glare rose. She marked a tiny dash, returned to the keys, and typed 1 sentence about a window with rain running like beads. Seal. At the chime for her stop, she closed the laptop, whispered, I aimed at the opening. I wrote 7 sentences. Next tiny step is pick the scene's verb and tap the receipt. On the platform, the dread had softened to a weight she could wear. She didn't become prolific in a day. She became circuit competent. 2 days later, the chapter went out, imperfect, on time hers. Notice your mouth. Is your tongue glued to the roof? Place its tip lightly against the ridge behind your front teeth. Let the middle widen. Feel the temperature of the air across your upper lip. Place your hand on your sternum and feel the subtle lift of the inhale. Anxiety wants speed, focus wants cadence. You are setting cadence. Now the energy budget. Anxiety spends energy like a leaking faucet. Focus spends like a thoughtful investor. The budget has three categories: charge, drain, and neutral. Charge activities return more energy than they cost. Drain activities cost more than they return. Neutral maintains the system without moving it. The trick isn't to eliminate all drains. Life includes them. The trick is to pair drains with charges and to schedule drains when your biological energy is highest, not merely when the world screams the loudest. Science enough to be useful. Your circadian rhythm and ultradian rhythms create natural peaks and dips in alertness. For most people, alertness climbs 90 minutes after waking, then dips 90 minutes later. Your prefrontal cortex handles complex planning best in high alert windows. Your cerebellum likes repetitive, motor-like tasks in the dips. If you push against these cycles all day, anxiety rides. If you surf them, anxiety loosens its grip because your body recognizes its own pattern. Start a simple practice called the hour ledger. For 3 days, every hour or two, jot a small symbol next to the hour: plus for charge, minus for drain, circle for neutral. Include food, people, screens, sunlight, movement. After 3 days, you'll see a pattern. Maybe 10 a.m. with sunlight is a charge. Maybe 3 back-to-back meetings with no walking are a drain. You don't need a spreadsheet, you need a map. Then make one move. Place one focus circuit in a naturally charged hour and place one small charge next to a drain. A 5-minute walk after a difficult meeting, a glass of water and 5 breaths before a dense call, music you love after inbox triage. This is budgeting in practice. Anxiety fades when your body experiences that you won't spend recklessly. Another story, mundane and instructive. Dev ran customer support for a growing app. Mornings, he scanned the overnight tickets and felt his stomach sour. The rest of the day he chased fires and called that work. He started the hour ledger. Plus signs showed up at 9 with coffee and daylight. Minus signs accumulated after lunch, especially during the quick check he did of the backlog. He moved one focus circuit to 9, aimed at write 3 FAQ updates to prevent repeat tickets, and placed a 5-minute walk in the stairwell after the lunch dip. He kept a cool bottle of water on his desk and tied the RAS Retarget phrase to its condensation: find the next viable step. In a week, the backlog thinned. His stomach relaxed by degrees. He hadn't escaped chaos, he had budgeted for it. Anxiety had less oxygen. Feel your lower ribs widen side to side again, like the bellows of an old camera. Notice the skin on your forearms, goosebumps, warmth, neutral. Press your thumb and forefinger together and feel the pulse that lives there. This is you speaking to your mammal directly. We have a plan, we can move. To make focus immune to interruption, you'll learn the distraction immunity protocol. It has 2 moves, the external capture and the internal label. External capture means a single, always available place where stray thoughts land: a small card, a notes app, a sticky. When buy detergent or check flights, or what if I change careers appears, you don't wrestle. You write 3 or 5 words, then touch your anchor object and return to the next sentence. Internal label means you note the category of interruption without buying the story: planning thought, worry thought, novelty pull. Labels reduce the amygdala's urgency by turning an abstract threat into a tagged file. Add a micro-ritual called the one-question check. At the 10-minute mark of a sprint, ask, Is the action I'm doing still the smallest true step toward my aim? If yes, continue. If no, ask the bridge for a correction. This keeps a sprint from becoming a stall disguised as work. You'll practice a high-friction version now because if it works here, it will work anywhere. Picture the environment that distracts you most. Open office noise, kids, chatter, city horns, your own mind's television. Set an imaginary timer. Clear with one breath and one border. Aim at a tiny verb. Begin. When the noise spikes, label sound surge. Place it like a bird on a branch outside your window and return to the screen or the page. When a new idea appears, capture 3 words and return. When you feel the ache in your shoulders growl for attention, roll them once, lengthen your exhale, and return. You will not become a monk. You will become someone who returns 100 times and calls that strength. A story about return. Ria studied for exams in a crowded cafe because home felt like a trap of naps and snacks. 2 hours into a Saturday, 3 conversations layered over the cafe's music and her own mind's what-if parade. Her impulse was to scroll. She touched her ring anchor object and whispered, "Find the next viable step," into a 4-4-6 breath. External capture, she wrote Ask Prof, Chapter 6 examples and laundry after 4. Internal label, novelty pull. Aim check, smallest true step, do 5 practice problems. 10 minutes later, a child shrieked. She labeled sound surge. She returned. 90 minutes later, she had not been perfect. She had been relentless in coming back. That relentlessness is the muscle of focus. Anxiety respects muscles. Check your jaw again and any heat at the back of your neck. Slightly tuck your chin as if nodding to an old friend. Let the back of your neck lengthen and breathe so your lower ribs open under your hands. Your brain reads posture like a headline. We have space. Space reduces the sense of siege. Siege dissolves into solvable steps. You'll now build a morning calibration and an evening seal. Calibration is 3 breaths and 2 sentences. Breath 1, 4-4-6 with your attention at the base of your ribs. Breath 2, 4-4-6 with your attention on your nostrils. Breath 3, 4-4-6 with your attention on your feet. Sentence 1, name your value for the morning, clarity, contribution, care, courage. Sentence 2, name the smallest true task that expresses it before noon. Write it on a scrap. That scrap accompanies your focus circuit. Anxiety likes mornings because uncertainty is large. Calibration shrinks uncertainty to a handle. The evening seal is also 2 sentences and a posture. Stand and roll your shoulders down and back. Say, "What did I move?" and answer with one specific action. Then say, "What's the next smallest step?" and write it where tomorrow will see it. Tap the page twice. Go to sleep. Your hippocampus consolidates memory at night. It loves a clear tag. You are tagging, we move things and we know the next move. Anxiety feeds on open loops. You will close them with kindness. Another story to round the system. Omar, a new manager, ended every day with a buzzing head and the sense that he had run in circles. He adopted calibration and seal reluctantly, muttering that it was too simple. On Monday, he chose clarity and wrote, "Draft agenda for Thursday one-on-ones." He ran one focus circuit at 9, sealed it. That night, he stood by his kitchen counter, shoulders back, and said, "Moved. Agenda draft with 3 questions. Next, add time boxes." He tapped the paper. Tuesday, he chose care and wrote, "Send 2 appreciation notes." He did sealed. On Friday, the buzz had reduced to a low hum. Anxiety had not evaporated. It had fewer empty rooms to echo in. Touch your fingertips to your temple and notice warmth. Let your gaze rest on something steady, the edge of a book, a window frame, a line in the floor. Breathe and feel the exhale like a warm ribbon at the back of your throat. You are teaching your nervous system a ritual script it can run under stress. Rituals are not superstition, they are grooves for attention. If you want to supercharge the focus circuit, add the cue chain. A cue chain is a small sequence that begins the sprint so your body knows what time it is. Maybe you sip water, place the cup, press your toes, glance at your aim card, set the timer, and exhale once with a whisper, "Here." Do it the same way every time. The basal ganglia loves sameness. Sameness lowers the startup cost. Anxiety hates beginnings. The cue chain makes beginnings light. What about days when the weather inside is violent? You don't scrap the system, you scale it. The focus circuit becomes 7 minutes. The aim becomes write 3 lines. The energy budget includes a longer walk or a quiet cry. The distraction immunity protocol adds one more move. The 90-second, where the rule before you start, not after. You stop negotiating with your feelings about doing the thing and do the smallest true thing in the presence of the feeling. That practice, repeated, rewires your sense of who you are. You're not someone who works when it's easy. You're someone who works while human. Hold the identity thread here because it anchors everything. You are the awareness that sets cadence. You are not the adrenaline spike or the fog. You are the conductor who keeps time even when the brass section blares. The music is louder some days. The baton stays the same hand. That hand belongs to you. Close this session with a live focus circuit in miniature. Clear by moving one object on your desk and breathing 4-4-6 once. Aim by writing one 12-word verb sentence. Sprint for 5 minutes with a body cue, steady foot press, low hum, gum. When an interruption appears, capture 3 words or label its category and return. Seal by standing or straightening, speaking your 3-sentence seal, and tapping your page. Feel the satisfaction of a closed loop. Hear the small sigh your system gives when it recognizes completion. That sigh is not laziness. It is your nervous system telling you, "I can trust you to finish." As you step back into your day, keep your hour ledger in a pocket or a corner of your mind. Place one focus circuit on the calendar where you know a charge lives. Pair a drain with a walk or a song. Tie your retarget phrase to your anchor object. And when you forget, because you will circle back not with shame, but with the simple words you know by heart, clear, aim, sprint, seal. You are wiring a craft, not chasing a mood. Craft holds when weather turns. Tonight, do the evening seal even if you moved only a pebble. Pebbles collect into a path. Paths become roads. Roads carry you exactly where you said you'd go, not by force, but by rhythm. You are not waiting for a wave to carry you. You are building a channel and guiding the water. Breathe once more, cool in and warm out. Feel your feet. Aim a single thought at tomorrow's first step. Tap the page. Let the night keep you. Today you'll learn to forge the voice inside your head into a tool you can trust. Anxiety thrives in unedited narration. It whispers in absolutes. It tapes old scenes over new moments. It confuses rehearsal with reality. You won't silence it, you'll train it. 2 frameworks will do most of the heavy lifting: the critic-to-coach transmutation and the 5-scene rewrite. The first turns harsh self-talk into useful instruction in under 60 seconds. The second pulls a looping memory out of your amygdala's museum and rebuilds it as a training montage your prefrontal cortex can use. You'll also stitch in microdrills so fast you can use them between heartbeats. Start by noticing the shape of your mouth. Is your tongue pressed hard to the palate? Let it widen and rest like a small raft on a calm river. Feel the air at the rim of your nostrils, cooler in, warmer out. Hear the closest sound, the mild scrape of fabric as you breathe, and then the furthest, a faint car, a bird, a refrigerator's patient hum. Drop your shoulders by a coin's thickness. This widening of sensory input steals voltage back from the alarm and gives your narrator a softer microphone. The critic-to-coach transmutation is a three-line alchemy: intercept, translate, task. Intercept is a phrase that stops the flood without arguing, "I'm hearing the critic." Translate is a swap you'll memorize. Replace judgment with behavior. Instead of "you always screw the first minute," you say "warm-up sentence first." Instead of "lazy," you say "stand, sip water, open doc." Task is where you pick one action smaller than your pride prefers. Anxiety wants you to fix your personality. The coach wants you to take a step. When this sequence becomes reflex, the inner voice shifts from courtroom to locker room with startling speed. A story to show you the cutover. In a bright glass conference room that threw sunlight like knives, Nor watched her first client workshop tilt sideways. Her slide deck glitched on the second click, a graph displayed as squares of static. She felt heat splash up her neck, sweat purled at her hairline, her chest fluttered like a sparrow caught behind a curtain. The old critic arrived with its polished sentences. "What a fraud, they're bored. You blew the opening, so the rest is doomed." It used to take the rest of the day. This time she had the transmutation. Intercept, "I'm hearing the critic." Translate, warm-up sentence first. She looked at the room and said, slow and steady, "I'm going to start with why this matters for your customers." Task, one small action, walk to the whiteboard and write 3 words: time, trust, repeat. The room leaned forward. Her breath settled into a 4/4/6 cadence without her attention begging it to. She salvaged the hour. Later, the memory tried to return with shame's tint. She ran the 5-scene rewrite and filed the day trained under pressure, not failed publicly. Check the inside of your cheeks. Are your molars pressing? Soften by 2 degrees. Place 2 fingers lightly on your sternum. Feel the rise on the inhale and the slide on the exhale. Temperature at your temples: cool, warm, neutral. Name it without adjectives that bite. Naming turns the fog into droplets you can move. Now for the 5-scene rewrite. Your brain stores charged memories as compressed files that replay fast and loud. You will decompress the file into 5 tiny scenes and attach a lesson to each. The scenes are before, trigger, choice, outcome, upgrade. Before is the 30 seconds preceding the moment. You scan for context you forgot. Trigger is the exact spark. You frame it like a single photograph. Choice is the fork. Even if you didn't choose then, you choose in the retelling. Outcome is what actually happened, minus apocalypse forecasts. Upgrade is the single behavior you'll add next time. You record all 5 in 30 to 60 seconds. This makes your hippocampus a better editor and returns agency to your prefrontal cortex. Do it live with a recent wobble. Close your eyes for one breath. Before, where were you? What was the light like, the smell? Trigger, the tone in their voice, the email subject line, the clock rolling to the hour. Choice, the next smallest true action you could take or did take. Outcome, what actually happened in numbers or concrete facts. Upgrade, the action you'll rehearse once now. Strip out adjectives that make you the villain or the victim. Keep verbs and nouns that hold weight. Here's an example with texture. 2 weeks ago, you stepped onto a treadmill at a gym that smelled like rubber and eucalyptus cleanser. Before, you'd slept 5 hours and skipped breakfast. Trigger, a fit stranger took the treadmill beside you and sprinted. Choice, you compared their pace to yours, felt heat bloom under your sternum, and reached for your phone. Outcome, you scrolled for 8 minutes, then left early feeling heavy. Upgrade, tomorrow you'll set your own pace, anchor to the feel the feet drill, press big toes down, exhale for 6, and run for 3 songs regardless of the neighbor. You write it down quickly. Before, tired, hungry, trigger, neighbor, sprint. Choice, scrolled. Outcome, 8-minute scroll, early exit. Upgrade, 3 songs, feet anchor. That's a training montage, not a confession. Feel the weight of your body again. If you're standing, sway a centimeter forward until the balls of your feet wake, then sway back until your heels kiss the ground. Find the middle. The middle is where narration turns honest. Your animal body tells truth better than your anxious brain does. Add a micro drill called the one-breath voice swap. When you catch a harsh line in your head, you inhale for 4 and ask, if a 5-year-old handed me this moment, what would I say? You exhale for 6 and say exactly that to yourself, out loud if you can. This isn't coddling, it's precise coaching. 5-year-olds don't need metaphysics, they need verbs and kindness. 1 sentence, then water. Turn your shoulders down, try again. Your nervous system receives those instructions like clear road signs. Another story, personal and domestic. On a grey Thursday, your partner asked, "Did you send the message to your mom?" And you heard it as "you're irresponsible." Your stomach tightened, the kitchen light felt too cold, the hum of the fridge grew teeth. The critic loaded its gun, "You never keep up, you're the weak link." Intercept, "I'm hearing the critic." Translate, answer with the smallest true fact. Task, say, "Not yet, I'll do it after dinner. Can we set a reminder?" You said it. The tone shifted. After dishes, you ran the 5-scene rewrite in 30 seconds. Before hungry, late, trigger question about mom. Choice, answer with fact. Outcome, set reminder, sent message. Upgrade, put recurring reminder on Sundays. The old loop tried to reboot at bedtime. You felt your jaw clench, placed your tongue on the ridge behind your teeth, and replayed the 5 scenes once more. The system filed the day under repair done. Sleep arrived 2 minutes faster. Science bridge, small and practical. When you swap judgment for behavior, you recruit the dorsal lateral prefrontal cortex, which specializes in planning and suppressing unhelpful impulses. When you replay 5 scenes with 1 upgrade, you reduce amygdala reactivity through reconsolidation. Memories aren't static, they rewrite on access. This is not a lecture, it's permission. Your brain is built for edits. Touch something with texture, table grain, denim seam, the smooth curve of a mug handle. Feel the tiny ridges against your skin. Name 3 sensations beneath the collarbone: tug, warmth, flutter. Let the exhale lengthen 1 silent count. This is you installing a floor for the next drill. You'll learn the shadow gratitude now, a technique that keeps your critic from hogging the mic. It's not grateful for what hurt. It's grateful to the system that tried to help. You say, "Thank you, anxiety, for trying to protect belonging," or "Thank you, perfectionism, for wanting craft," and then you redirect with behavior. "We'll honor belonging by texting 1 friend now," or "We'll honor craft by polishing the conclusion for 12 minutes. This turns a vague ache into a specific value and pairs it with a step. Shadow gratitude disarms the internal critic because it recognizes the intention without letting the old tactic run the show. Try it in your mouth. Think of a moment today when you felt small. Whisper, "Thank you, system, for trying to protect me." Then say, "We'll protect by choosing the smallest true step now," and do it. Send the micronote, open the file, put fruit on the counter. Feel the warmth or neutrality across your cheeks. Hear the world beyond the problem, even for 1 second. That second is a doorway. Another story, spreadsheet and sweat. Felix led a tiny company where payroll days felt like standing on a cliff in a storm. He opened the bank account and felt that old tilt in his gut. The critic arrived fast. "You should have a bigger buffer, you're reckless, you're not a real founder." He ran the transmutation. Intercept, critics here, translate, run the 15-minute runway check. Task, open the cash flow sheet and highlight 3 levers. Then the 5-scene rewrite, Before coffee, no walk, inbox avalanche, trigger balance number, choice opened sheet. Outcome found 2 expenses to pause, wrote 2 customer emails. Upgrade set recurring Monday runway check with music and a walk first. 2 weeks later, the day still had wind, but he wasn't on a cliff. He was on a path with markers. Notice the back of your neck. Is there heat? Imagine a cool palm there. Roll your shoulders once, slow, and let the blades glide down like coins in a pocket. Smell the air, soap, paper, rain, nothing. Sensory honesty keeps narration from slipping into fantasy disguised as foresight. We'll embed the inner voice work into decision-making with the 2-column debrief. After any charged move, fold a scrap in half. On the left, write critic lines exactly as they show up, no cleaning. On the right, write coach translations, verbs only. You hesitated becomes start before ready with a 30-second draft. You babbled becomes pause, use the 4-sentence line. Then circle exactly 1 coach line and do it within 2 minutes if possible. This cements the voice swap in behavior so the brain believes it. To keep your reticular activating system aligned, pair a short RAS phrase with the coach. When you feel the critic rising, breathe and whisper, find the next coach verb. Your attention will begin scanning for behavior, not shame. The world will show you handles again, pens, doors, keys, faces ready for 1 sentence. Sometimes anxiety shows up as physical echoes after a mistake, tight gut, zinging hands, heat at the ears. You'll use the 90-second weather rule first, then run a 2-beat self-address. Beat 1 is your name and a verb. Hey, Jordan, breathe. Beat 2 is a tiny directive. Type the subject line. This brief self-address recruits language networks that organize the chaos without monologuing. It's not pep talk, it's a lever. A story with stage lights. Marisol acted in a small theater with a buzzing fluorescent hallway that smelled like dust and makeup. On opening night, she dropped a line and felt the audience's silence heavy as wet wool. The critic slammed in, "You're a disaster. Quit." She felt her cheeks burn, ears hot. She found the wings, placed her hand on the cool metal door and ran the 2-beat, "Marisol, breathe, enter," and hit the mark. She re-entered, crossed the stage, and delivered the next line with a simple, clean voice. Later, she ran the 5-scene rewrite and added an upgrade. Tape the first 3 lines inside the prop book. The next night, the pause became a seam no one saw. Check your breathing now. Let your exhale flow a beat longer than your inhale. Feel the edges of your ribs expand sideways like a bellows. Place your attention in your feet. Sense the texture of your socks or the floor through your skin. The body is a dock where the mind can moor when waters chop. You'll tie all of this together with a ritual called script to step. Each morning for a week, before tasks, write 1 sentence your critic loves to throw at you. Then write its coach translation with a verb. Then immediately do the smallest action. Example, your behind becomes list top 3 tasks and star 1, then star it and do 1 move. This takes 2 minutes. Over a week, your inner voice learns that it is not in charge of your day unless it speaks in verbs that help. On days when the critic gets sneaky, wrapping itself in faux humility or productivity, you'll use the mirror test. Look at a nearby reflective surface, screen, window, bathroom mirror. Ask, would I say this to someone I mentor? If the answer is no, deliver the coach line out loud. Hearing your voice in the room changes how memory encodes the moment. Sound brings the prefrontal cortex back to the table. Touch your thumb to the pad of your index finger again and feel the heartbeat there. Tiny, steady, yours. Let the corners of your eyes soften as if you're looking at a dim horizon. Breathe, so the exhale feels like warm air traveling up and back across your throat. This is the cadence of a voice you can live with. Close with a live practice. Bring up a small mistake from this week that still hums. Feel where it lives in your stomach like a stone, in your chest like fizz, in your jaw like wire. Intercept, I'm hearing the critic. Translate so it becomes a behavior. Send the repair line or outline the redo or practice the first sentence twice. Task, do the tiniest version now. Then run the 5-scene rewrite quickly before trigger, choice, outcome, upgrade. Whisper the shadow gratitude once. Thank you, system, for trying to protect. We'll protect by doing X, breathe 446. Notice the room, the color of something near you, the feel of the seat, the distant sound. You did not erase a flaw. You commissioned a coach. Hold the identity thread where it belongs, at the center of your ribcage and a little behind your eyes. You are the awareness that edits the story. You are not the voice that shouts, not the panic that surges, not the old tapes that click on when a door creaks. You are the editor with a blue pencil and a steady hand. You are the coach in the tunnel before the field who says only what helps and then moves their body first. When you forget, you will remember faster. When you wobble, you will return sooner. When you fall, you will replay 5 scenes and take the upgrade. This is emotional alchemy at the narrating level. This is how anxiety becomes focus, then becomes self-trust, then becomes an energy source that lights exactly what you choose. Tonight, before you sleep, write one critic line and its coach translation. In the morning, do the smallest true action that belongs to the coach. At lunch, run one 5-scene rewrite of something messy and tape its upgrade where your eyes fall. In the evening, add one deposit to your trust ledger. I turned a voice into a step. Tomorrow, you will walk on that step like a stone in a river. The stones multiply. The river stops tossing you. You start aiming the boat. Breathe once more. Feel the cooler air enter, the warmer air leave. Sense your jaw loosen and your spine stack. Hear the room near and far. You are the sky, and you're also learning to write the weather report. Quiet, clear, actionable. That's your craft now. That's your voice. Today you'll learn how to turn setbacks, the missed deadline, the awkward conversation, the workout you bilaid on, into fuel within the hour, not the week. Anxiety loves aftermath. It lingers in the empty space after something goes wrong and paints the walls with blame. You'll build 2 structures that make recovery automatic: the Aftershock Protocol and the Glidepath Method. The Aftershock Protocol is what you run in the first 15 minutes after a mistake, so the wave of cortisol doesn't harden into a story about who you are. The Glidepath Method is how you re-enter motion at a pace the nervous system can accept, so momentum returns without drama. Together, they'll give you the feeling that even when you fall, you're falling forward onto a path you already prepared. Start by checking your breathing without changing it. Notice the cool air slide in across the rims of your nostrils and the warmer stream leave. Scan your upper back where stress likes to hide. Imagine 2 small warm stones resting on either side of your spine, coaxing the muscles to melt by 5%. Hear the closest sound, a paper rustle, a laptop fan, then a sound far away, a car passing, a bird, the soft architecture of the room itself. Let your shoulders drop the height of a coin. This is not decoration. Sensory honesty is the ground that keeps your prefrontal lights on when the inner critic wants the mic. The Aftershock Protocol has 4 moves you can say in one breath. Ground, gist, good, go. Ground means you run 1-4-4-6 breath and feel one body anchor, the weight of your feet, the texture of your fingers against your palm, the coolness at your throat. Gist means you summarize what actually happened in a sentence so short it can't accuse anyone. We missed the client email by 3 hours. I snapped at Sam when they asked a basic question. I skipped the gym. Good means you identify one useful element in the rubble. We learn the bottleneck. I noticed the trigger. I still have time for a walk. Go means you take one smallest true step that moves the situation toward repair or progress. It could be a clean apology, a calendar block, a 5-minute draft, a glass of water, and a walk around the block before you write the follow-up. You run all 4 within 15 minutes. That's how you interrupt the chemical aftershock before it settles into identity. A story to fix this in your bones. The office smelled like coffee and hot dust from overworked laptops. Aaron had babysat a release all week, and at 6:07 p.m. on Friday, a bug slipped past his safest guardrail. The homepage crashed. Slack bloomed with red dots and messages that tasted like metal. His chest tightened, his fingers went cold, his field of vision narrowed to postage stamp size. He could feel the critic warming up. You're the weak link. They won't trust you again. The urge to hide under explanatory paragraphs pulsed in his hands. He caught himself and ran the Aftershock Protocol out loud, quiet and steady. Ground. He pressed his palm into the wood edge of the desk and breathed 446, naming, cold fingers, intensity 6, and let his jaw unclench by a notch. Gist. We deployed a change that broke the home page. Good, we already have logs that isolate the call and a rollback path. Go post rollback command, write 2-sentence status in the incident channel. He executed the rollback, wrote, rolling back 6:02 deploy, ETA 3 minutes, root cause under review, and pinged the teammate who knew the module best. 3 minutes later, the site breathed. 10 minutes later, he wrote a clean incident note, cause suspected in X. We will add a pre-deploy assertion. The adrenaline still hummed, but the shame storm never took the wheel. Monday's retrospective wasn't a trial, it was a map. Aaron didn't outrun anxiety, he gave it a job. Check your jaw now. If your molars are touching, float them apart a millimeter. Feel the weight of your tongue resting broad and low. Place 2 fingers at the base of your skull where it meets your neck and invite those tiny muscles to lengthen. Notice the temperature of the air on your forearms. Let your exhale run a half-second longer. You're telling your body, we're not in a chase, we're in a craft. You may worry that calling anything good after a mistake is delusion. It is. Good in the Aftershock Protocol is not praise, it's a handle. Your reticular activating system will hunt for whatever you instruct it to. If you tell it to hunt for proof you're doomed, it will find a museum of exhibits. If you tell it to hunt for what helps next, it will deliver raw materials you can actually use. Good primes the search. Go spends it. Now the Glidepath Method, built for re-entry after a stall. Anxiety loves binary, on or off, perfection or apathy. Glidepath builds ramps, 3 steps, lower link launch. Lower means you downshift the task to the smallest version that still honors the value. If you planned a 60-minute workout and bilaid, the lower is walk 9 minutes outside and do 6 slow squats. If you ghosted the project, the lower is open the dock and write 3 ugly lines. Link means you tether the action to a cue you already do, coffee, brushing teeth, sitting in the car, closing your laptop, a particular song so friction drops. Launch means you commit to a time-bound window with a clear end so your system knows it won't drown. 7 minutes, 12 minutes, 1 page. You don't bargain with guilt. You bargain with physics. Small force, short distance, clean angle. A sensory beat for your body. Raise your eyes to a soft middle distance. Let your breath travel lower so the belly receives it before the chest. Feel your feet spread in your shoes or against the floor as if each toe were claiming a little patch of ground. The room is still the room. You're in it again, not watching it from a tunnel. Another story, small and human. Nina promised herself she'd restart running on Monday. Monday arrived with gloved grey clouds and a calendar packed tight. By evening, all that was left was tiredness and a thin ribbon of guilt. Old pattern, scroll, self-accuse, sleep late, repeat. She wrote GLIDPATH on a sticky because she didn't trust her memory under fog. Lower, 12-minute walk and 4 easy strides. If rain, hallway lunges. Put shoes on while kettle boils for tea. Launch, timer for 12. She placed the sticky on the kettle handle. When her hand reached for it, the cue clicked. She tied the laces, stepped into fine rain that smelled like metal, walked 6 minutes, breathed 446 twice, then counted out 4 patient strides. She returned with foggy glasses and a steadier heart. She sealed it with one sentence, moved for 12, tomorrow repeat. By the weekend, she had not become an athlete. She had become someone who honored a small runway daily. Her anxiety about becoming a runner dissolved into, I step outside when the kettle sings. Feel the skin along your cheekbones, warm, cool, neutral, name it without narrative. Bring your fingertips together and press gently until you feel the fine grain of your fingerprints. Let your exhale sound like a soft deep in the throat. The vagus nerve likes that hum. The hum is a bridge back to presence. Sometimes the aftershock is social. You say something that lands wrong and heat floods your face. The critic paints the night with you always, and your impulse is to either over-explain or vanish. The Aftershock Protocol scales, ground with one breath and a shoulder drop, gist with a plain sentence, good with the value you remembered, go with the smallest repair line. The repair line template is simple and lives inside 4-sentence line territory. I didn't like how that landed. I meant X here, S what I'll do now, I care about us. Clean, human, forward. Pair Glidepath with a micro drill called the palm press reset. Place your right palm over your left. Press for 2 slow breaths so you feel the pressure across the heel of the hands, then switch. The bilateral press calms the alarm, giving the launch step an easier start. You can do this under a table before you re-enter a meeting or at a sink before you knock on a door. Small physics, big leverage. Science short and useful. Stress hormones peak quickly and then dissipate if you don't feed them with catastrophic narration. The amygdala flags uncertainty. The prefrontal cortex needs a concrete lever to pull to turn off the siren. Aftershock gives the lever. Glidepath keeps your motor from stalling again because it respects your system's tolerance. Neuroplasticity is a fan of repeatable grooves more than heroic surges. You're laying grooves. Check the back of your throat. Feel the slight cool on inhale, the ribbon of warmth on exhale. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down once like a slow wave. Let your eyes find a line in the room, a door frame, a book edge, and trace it. Lines steady the gaze. Steady gaze steadies the system. Introduce a practice called the 1% friction audit. When you miss, don't call yourself lazy. Ask where the ramp was too steep. Remove 1% of friction, not 100. Put the shoes next to the kettle. Pre-draft the first 3 lines of tomorrow's email tonight. Place the project file on your desktop named Start Here. Move the weights to where you actually see them. This is not self-trickery. It's collaboration with a brain that saves energy by default. A story of friction removed. Elise wanted to practice guitar daily, but the case lived under the bed where dust and guilt formed a pact. Her anxiety wrote a myth. If you cared, you'd try harder. She ran the audit. 1%, move the guitar stand to the living room corner where evening light fell like warm tea. Link, play during kettle boil. Launch, 2 minutes of chord changes. The new scene arrived with sound, fingers squeaking on strings, kettle hissing, shoulders dropping. Anxiety lost one territory and went scouting elsewhere. She followed with micro deposits in the trust ledger, 2-minute practice. Deposits add up. Anxiety respects accounts with numbers in them. If your chest feels tight now, place one palm there and one on your belly. Breathe so the lower hand rises first, then the upper. Imagine the breath sliding down your spine like warm rain, pooling at the sacrum, then returning. Let your jaw slacken enough that your next exhale brushes your lips with a whisper. You'll pair the Aftershock Protocol with the 5-scene rewrite you learned earlier when the day is heavy. After a miss, run ground, gist good, go then later. When the chemistry has cooled, write the 5 scenes in 30 seconds so the memory files under training, not self-indictment. Add a Glidepath line at the end. Tomorrow's launch, 7 minutes at 9:00. Put it where your eyes will meet it in the morning. Your hippocampus will rehearse that scene in sleep like a quiet athlete. Add another micro drill called the voice glide. After you wobble, your voice often squeezes or spikes. Before you speak again, on a call, to your kid, to yourself, hum one note on the exhale for 4 counts, then speak the next sentence slower than you want to by 5%. Slower voice tells your nervous system you aren't in a sprint. Slowness is contagious. The room follows. Here's a high-noise scene to test. The kitchen is loud with pans and deadlines. A text arrives, "We need to talk," from someone who matters more than your stomach wants to admit. Heat flashes in your face. Before the story gallops, you ground with 1446 and the palm press. Gist, they want a conversation. Good, we both care, we're naming it. Go reply, yes, today after 7 or tomorrow at 9. Then you run Glidepath on work you still need to do. Lower the task to write 3 lines for slide 2. Link to after I pour water, launch at 7 minutes. You don't pretend calm, you create cadence. When the talk happens, you bring your 4-sentence line and your slower voice. The night ends with dignity, not fireworks. Smell the air again, coffee, soap, rain, neutral. Let your shoulders soften as if warm water were poured down the back of your neck. Feel the floor steady under the bones of your feet. The body learns faster than the mind admits. Sometimes the setback is internal. You wake foggy and the world feels a step too far away. Glidepath can begin at 0 with a ritual called the micro-morning. 3 moves in 3 minutes. Water on the face, light to the eyes, breath to the ribs. Put cool water on your cheeks. Step into daylight or a bright window. Breathe 4-4-6 3 times with your hands at your side ribs so you feel the sides widen. Then lower link launch your first action. Make bed corners, linked to after the 3rd breath, launched at 1 minute. The day is still heavy, but you have a thread in your hand. Another story, tender and real. Carmen's mom called from a hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and oranges from a plastic cup. The scan wasn't what they hoped. Carmen's mouth went dry, her hands shook. The present moment vibrated with static. The urge to hammer emails evaporated. She excused herself from work for the afternoon. At home, the house felt too quiet. She wrote on a sticky, "Aftershock." Ground 3-4-4-6 breaths, palms pressed. Gist, mom's scan is worse. Good, I can sit with her tonight and the doctor is thorough. Go text brother, pack bag, bring blanket she likes. Then she wrote Glidepath on a second sticky. Lower, send 1 line to boss. Family medical, back tomorrow, notes in doc. Link, send after I fill water bottle. Launch 2 minutes. She did it and sat on the floor feeling the carpet threads with her fingertips. The anxiety didn't vanish, but it found a shape her body could hold. In the hospital that night, she used the voice glide to ask calmer questions. Craft didn't abandon her, it changed shape to match the room. Check the temperature at your temples once more. If warm, picture a cool cloth there. If cool, Imagine sunlight the weight of paper. Rotate your wrists slowly so joints whisper instead of clack. Let your exhales soften the space behind your heart. Your RAS can help you spot ramps when you're tired. Give it a phrase, find the next ramp. Repeat it on a single 4-4-6. Your attention will begin to notice surfaces that slope in your favor. The already open document, the already set out shoes, the friend who texted first, the chair facing the window. You aren't asking for miracles, you're asking for physics you can use. Close this session by building your recovery kit. Not a bag, a sequence. Write it somewhere you'll meet it when you least want to. Aftershock, ground, gist, good, go. Glidepath, lower, link, launch. Add your personal palm press, reset and voice glide. Add 1% friction you'll remove today. Then test the kit right now on something small. The dish in the sink, the unreturned message, the page waiting for 3 lines. Run the protocol once. Run the ramp once. Seal with 1 sentence spoken aloud. I recover fast and kind. Your system will file that sound where self-trust lives. Hold the identity thread as we end. You are not the sum of your misses. You are the awareness that turns aftershocks into signals and signals into ramps. You are not the panic that blooms. You are the one who places a palm on the table, breathes, names the gist, finds the good and goes. You are not the stall. You are the pilot who lowers the nose gently, aligns with a runway, and lets the wheels kiss earth. Anxiety will visit again. When it does, it will find you with a kit in your pocket and a glide path already drawn in the sky. Before you move, breathe once more, cool in, warm out, feel your feet, look at 1 line in the room, whisper, find the next ramp and take it. Small, immediate, true. That is how resilience stops being a poster and becomes your reflex. Today you'll learn to command your body's electricity like a dimmer, not a light switch. Anxiety is often too much charge with nowhere to go. Fatigue is too little charge when you need more. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions, you can set them. You'll build 2 tools that turn physiology into a dashboard you can steer. The Threat Thermostat and the Somatic Switchboard. The thermostat tells you your current arousal level and exactly how to dial it up or down in 90 seconds. The switchboard gives you 3 reliable routes, downshift, center, upshift, so your system matches the moment instead of arguing with it. Together, they make presence a choice rather than a rumor. First, find the body where you left it. Notice the air on your upper lip, cool coming in and warmer going out. Unhook your teeth. Let the back of your tongue widen and rest. Feel your feet like they're molding into the floor. Hear the nearest sound, a chair creak, a laptop fan, and the farthest, traffic, a bird, the sleepy breath of a room. Your frame already widened. Keep it. The Threat Thermostat has 5 marks, simple enough to remember when your head is loud. 1 is drowsy, 2 is grounded, 3 is alert, 4 is wired, 5 is hijacked. Your aim isn't to live at 3 forever. Your aim is to know where you are and dial toward what serves. You measure with 3 honest checks: breath speed, muscle tone, and mind chatter. If your breath is shallow and fast, your shoulders feel like coat hangers, and thoughts are sprinting, you're at 4 moving toward 5. If your breathing is syrup slow and eyelids heavy when you need to think, you're at 1. Call the number out loud. Numbers remove drama. They don't insult you, they inform you. To move the dial, you'll use the Somatic Switchboard. Downshift when you're at 4 or 5, center when you're anywhere but steady, upshift when you're at 1 or a sleepy 2 and need spark. Downshift has 3 movements: lengthen, soften, lower. Lengthen the exhale to twice the inhale for 6 breaths. Soften a ring of muscle around the eyes and jaw. Lower your gaze to a middle distance and let your shoulders settle as if into warm sand. Center has 3: stack, scan, see. Stack your skeleton, crown up, tail heavy, so breath has a path. Scan your body for a single sensation to name. See the edges of the room to reclaim context. Upshift has 3, brighten, brace, bounce. Brighten your eyes by lifting your gaze and letting more light in. Brace your midline lightly by wrapping your core as if hugging yourself from inside. Bounce your calves with 10 springy heel raises to send blood to the brain. 90 seconds per route is enough to shift chemistry. We are not looking for nirvana, we are looking for steering. A story where the dial saved a day. Malik taught 9th graders who could smell doubt like smoke. On a rainy Tuesday, the room buzzed with test day nerves and the sweet-sour scent of wet jackets. He walked in at a thermostat 4, breath high, mouth dry, mind predicting chaos. Old Malik would talk louder to overrun the noise. The room would mirror the threat. New Malik stepped behind the desk and pressed thumb to finger, texture anchor. He ran downshift. Lengthen, inhale 4, exhale 8, 6 times until his ribs moved sideways like bellows. Soften, he let the muscles around his eyes release, jaw unhooked a notch. Lower, he brought his gaze to 2 feet in front of him, then raised it back slowly. The dial slid to a 3. He shifted to center, stack, scan, see. He stacked his spine, felt a pulsing under his left collarbone, named it flutter, and saw the edges of the room, door, clock, window. His voice, when it arrived, carried the calm of a person who had options. Phones on the back counter, pencils in the blue cup. We'll do the first question together. The room followed. Adrenaline didn't vanish, it changed jobs. Check your temperature at the temples. Warm, cool, name it plainly. Feel the weight of your wrists on your thighs or the pull of gravity through your heels. Run 1 breath with a long, silk exhale. Taste the ghost of your last sip of water or coffee. Each concrete detail reclaims 10% of bandwidth from the alarm. Science bridge, small and sharp. Your autonomic nervous system has 2 main branches, sympathetic mobilize and parasympathetic recover. The threat system is not a villain, it's a smoke detector. Most of your trouble isn't the alarm, it's the stuck setting. Lengthening the exhale tilts you toward parasympathetic tone through the vagus nerve, which runs from brainstem to belly. Light and posture shift midbrain circuits that decide whether to scan for danger or opportunity. Calf raises, chewing, and a quick cold splash to the wrists stimulate the locus coeruleus, noradrenaline system straight enough to wake the lights without setting the siren. You're not hacking your body, you're using the instruction manual nobody gave you. You'll thread in 3 microdrills for each route. For downshift, add the psi pair, the wrist rinse, and the eye horizon reset. The psi pair is 2 audible sighs with a tiny pause in between. Inhale through the nose, sigh out through the mouth, inhale again halfway, sigh longer. It vents built-up carbon dioxide and gives your brain a "we are safe enough" message. The wrist rinse is 30 seconds of cool water over the inner wrists where blood vessels graze the skin, cooling their nudges the whole system down. The eye horizon reset means lifting your eyes to the line where wall meets ceiling or where earth meets sky. Horizon tells your brain, we can see distance, ambush unlikely. For center, your microdrills are the spine zip, the name and notch, and the 4 corners look. Spine zip is an imaginal line from tailbone to crown. You picture zipping it up, click by click, until breath flows. Name and notch means you label one sensation and notch it 5% down with 1446 breath. 4 corners look is gently letting your eyes visit left upper, right lower, left lower corners of the room. It's a visual sweep that widens context without dissociating. For upshift, use the chew and charge, the light shot, and the step spark. Chew and charge is a minute of gum or imaginary chewing. Jaw movement talks to arousal circuits. Light shot is opening a curtain or stepping onto a balcony for 60 seconds of daylight. Photons on your retina cue alertness. Step spark is 10 quick steps in place, heels kissing the ground, breath steady. Feel your jaw again. Place the tip of your tongue on the ridge behind your top teeth and let the back widen. Roll your shoulders once, up, back, down, like a slow wave. Let your eyes soften as if you're looking at a horizon, even if you're inside. That softness is not laziness, it's bandwidth reclaimed. A story of upshift when fog tried to win. May coded nights on a side project that mattered to her more than her day job admitted. On Wednesday, she sat at the kitchen table, body at a thermostat 2, heavy lids, low spark, a brain like wet cardboard. The temptation was caffeine and guilt. Instead, she ran upshift. Brightened, she lifted her gaze, switched on the brightest lamp, and stood by the window for a light shot. Brace, she hugged her midline lightly and did 10-step sparks. Bounce, she rose onto her toes and dropped her heels 10 times, feeling the calves talk to her brain. She added chew and charge with a piece of gum. 2 minutes later, she slid to a 3. She pointed her RAS with "Find the first bug I can fix in 5 lines," set a 7-minute launch from the glide path you learned, and wrote. When her mind drifted, she marked a dash and returned. The night ended with a small pull request and a clean evening seal. No heroics, physics. Bring a hand to your sternum and feel the subtle lift of the inhale, the warmer air on the exhale. Notice the fabric against your skin, the weave, the slight drag. Hear something you don't control and let it be proof the world is bigger than the worry. Sometimes the dial needs to move quickly because the room is moving quickly. You'll use the 90-second quick stack when stakes feel hot. Step 1, read your number. Step 2, run the appropriate switchboard route for exactly 6 breaths. Step 3, deliver 1 sentence or take 1 action that buys you 30 more seconds. If you're at a 5, your buyback sentence might be "Give me a moment, I want to get this right," delivered with a slower exhale. If you're at a 1, your buyback action is to stand, open the curtain, and ask 1 question to put your brain in motion. Quick stacks are for the hallway outside the meeting, the looming camera light, the blink of an incoming call. Let's press taste and smell into the craft for a moment. Smell the room, paper, soap, rain, nothing at all. Taste whatever lingers, mint, coffee, neutral. When you feed the brain honest sense data, it stops grabbing for imagined threats. This is threat recalibration. You'll now braid the thermostat with your boundary compass from earlier. Before you speak the 4-sentence line, read your number. If you're at a 4, run downshift for 6 breaths so your tone carries steadiness, not edge. If you're at a 1, upshift so you don't sound like you're apologizing for existing. If you're at a 2 or 3, center, then speak context, boundary, option, care. People hear your body before your words. Your body's dial makes the words land. Another story, quiet and significant. Sadie's friend group had a habit of last-minute plans that left her scrambling. Friday afternoon, 2 texts arrived, pool at 6, followed by bring snacks. Her chest tightened, mouth went cotton dry, thermostat 4. She rinsed her wrists in cool water, sighed twice, lowered her gaze, then lifted it to the horizon of the kitchen window. Dialed to 3, spine zip. Then the 4-sentence line steady, I see the plan just formed. I don't do last-minute snack runs on Fridays. I can join at 7 with what I have, or I'll see you Sunday. I love being with you. The thread of panic loosened. Anxiety had planned to argue all night. The dial closed the argument before it began. Check your forearms. Are they warm, goosebumped, neutral? Name it. Press your thumb into the pad of your middle finger and feel the pushback. Let your exhale make the faintest sound, like a low hum. The hum is a ladder rung back to your body. You'll add a recovery lane for when the dial is brittle from too little sleep or too much everything. Call it the gentle throttle. Instead of insisting on big swings, you ask for 10% shifts. 10% down from a 5 is the side pair and wrist rinse. 10% up from a 1 is light shot and step spark. You decide ahead of time that today's wins are proportional to the system you're carrying. Gentle throttle beats white knuckle and crash. Sometimes you need to dial while walking into a room that matters. Use the threshold ritual. As your hand touches a doorknob or you step through a doorway, run one switchboard micro drill without breaking stride, side pair for downshift, spine zip for center, brighten gaze for upshift. Whisper your retarget phrase, find the next viable sentence. Thresholds teach your nervous system that changes in environment come with changes in state you control. A story under stage lights and fluorescent backstage smell. Theo, whose hands shook during investor pitches, read as a 4 before stepping onto a small stage with 2 bright bulbs. Backstage, he ran downshift, exhale 8s, side pair I horizon reset. His heart stayed quick, but his hands stopped the micro shiver. On stage, he centered, stack, scan, see, and named the sensation buzz behind sternum. His opening line was simple and carried weight. I'll begin with a customer named Lena and the hour she lost every Tuesday. The dial didn't make him a different person. It made him the same person, available. Heat travels to the ears when stress peaks. If your ears feel warm, imagine cool air sliding past them like evening wind. Roll your ankles quietly. Let your breath drop into your lower ribs so they widen to the sides. Sideways breath is low drama, high function. Tie the thermostat to sleep without turning this into a seminar. Your body sleeps better when it trusts that you will downshift in the last hour. Use the dimmer hour. Lights down, screens warmer, exhale longer than inhale, side pair once or twice, light stretch, calves and jaw, wrists rinsed cool. The message to your ancient circuitry is village safe, fire low, night okay. Anxiety loves midnight because you're finally still. Teach stillness to feel safe and the voice loses its audience. On mornings you wake at a 4, buzzing before the world asks for anything. Your job isn't to scold yourself into calm. It's to give the electricity a lane. Use the move then method sequence. 5 minutes of brisk movement with step spark and bouncing calves, then the focus circuits clear, aim, sprint, seal for a 7-minute sprint. Electricity wants rails. You're laying them. Place your palm on the table or your knee and feel texture again. Name 3 features in the room you didn't notice a minute ago: light on a book edge, a small scratch on a door, a shift in the hum you hear. Brainstem likes evidence. Give it evidence. You'll meet a small partner to the dial, the mouthpiece cue. Choose a word that changes your jaw and tone: steady for downshift, here for center, go for upshift. Whisper it with the breath pattern of the route you've chosen. Words ride physiology. Pick one and keep it. The point is not poetry, it's leverage. A story at home where stakes hide in quiet moments. Yee's kid melted down at homework time. Crayons rolled like little grenades and the kitchen air turned thin. Yee felt the climb to 5, heat at the neck, tunnel sound. They caught the number, sighed twice, rinsed wrists at the sink, whispered steady, then squatted to kid height, centered with spine zip. Context, it's hard to start. Boundary, we won't throw. Option, 5-minute timer or 3 problems sprint. Care, I'm on your team. The room didn't turn into a commercial, but it didn't turn into a battlefield. The dial mattered. Check the skin behind your knees. Notice the breeze on your forearms. Feel the slight pull of gravity at the corners of your eyes. You're building a habit of noticing without judging. That habit is the hinge that turns panic into choice. If your system resists, it's not a moral issue, it's latency. Repetition shortens latency. The more you name your number and run a route, the faster chemistry follows. Keep a tiny tally today, a dot each time you read your number and shift it. Dots are deposits in the trust ledger that say, when it gets loud, I steer. End with a live drill. Read your number right now, choose a route. If it's downshift, lengthen your exhale for 6 breaths, add the sigh pair, rinse your wrists if water is near, lower gaze then lift to horizon. If it's center stack, scan, see run name and notch, glance to the 4 corners. If it's upshift, brighten, brace, bounce, chew or pretend to, step in place for 10 beats, get a shot of daylight. Whisper your mouthpiece word, steady, here or go. Then take a single action your moment asks for, open the dock, send 1 line, ask 1 question, put your shoes by the door, pour water. Seal it with 1 quiet sentence, number changed by 1. Smile without baring teeth. The body reads that as safe enough. Carry the identity line through your day like a thin, strong wire. You are the awareness with a dial, not the animal glued to a setting. You are not a 5, you are not a 1. You are the sky with a hand on the weather's knob. When the world surges, you don't promise calm, you promise steering. When your energy sags, you don't promise heroics, you promise ignition. You are the observer who breathes, names a number, chooses a route, and takes a step that fits the room. That's emotional alchemy at the level of electricity. That's how anxiety becomes focus at the speed of breath. Before you leave, take 1 last sensory bead. Feel the cool air in, the warm air out. Listen near and far, touch texture. Whisper your word, pick your route, and move 1 inch in the direction you choose. The rest will meet you. Today you'll learn how to melt avoidance into approach without blowing up your nervous system. Anxiety's favorite trick is the invisible fence, the podcast you never publish, the hard question you never ask, the room you avoid because a version of you might be judged there. Avoidance keeps you safe today and smaller tomorrow. We're going to build 2 tools that make approaching feel doable, measurable, and strangely satisfying: the fear-to-front protocol and the micro-exposure ladder. The first takes a vague dread and turns it into a target with rails. The second turns that target into 5-minute climbs your body can accept. You'll also wire in a ritual so courage becomes a habit, not a mood you beg for. Start with your mouth and breath. Let your lips soften. Place the tongue wide and low like a calm animal resting. Inhale through your nose for 4, hold a soft beat, exhale for 6. Feel the temperature difference, cool in, warm out. Notice your sit bones or heels. If you're standing, press the big toe very lightly into the floor, then release like checking a pedal. Hear the closest sound in the room, then the furthest. A car hiss, a bird, the low electricity of space. Fear shrinks the world, these small perceptions widen it. You're building room for action. The fear-to-front protocol has 4 moves you can memorize with your hands: trace, test, trim, try. Trace means you outline the fear with a pencil-thin line, 12 plain words or fewer that describe the real risk, not the movie your brain is screening. The fear is asking for feedback and hearing, not good enough. The fear is calling the client and getting a no. The fear is telling my partner, I need a quiet Sunday. Test means you run a 2-question scan to see what part is true enough to train. What's the smallest element that scares my body? And what value would be served if I faced 10% of it? Trim means you shave the scenario down to something your nervous system could touch without bolting. Shorter time, smaller audience, simpler version. Try means you take a 5-minute run at the trimmed version today, not someday. and you end with a seal that tells your brain where the win lives. A story where fear to front saved a week. In a glass-walled office that smelled like coffee and toner, Caro had to ask her VP for a budget increase. Every time she opened the deck, her chest buzzed like a hive and her throat tightened as if the air were thick. She avoided polished pixels and called that work. Monday bled into Wednesday. Wednesday morning, she ran the protocol on a sticky. Trace, fear is asking for more and being seen as presumptuous. Test, smallest element. Saying the number out loud. Value, stewardship, and honesty. Trim, practice the ask in a voice memo to self, then to one peer. Try 5 minutes. She pressed record, said, to hit customer targets, I need an additional 20,000, here's what it buys, and felt heat rise in her cheeks. She recorded 3 versions. Then she walked to Priya, a trusted colleague, and said, will you listen to a 1-minute ask? They did. Priya nodded, tweaked one line, and smiled. The hive dropped to a manageable buzz. That afternoon, Caro asked the VP in a steady voice. She got a not that much. How about 15? She breathed, used her 4-sentence line to set an option, and left with 12. The deck had not made her brave. The protocol had. Scan your ribs. Let the breath widen them to the sides like an old camera bellows. Feel the fabric against your forearms. Name its texture, smooth, coarse, soft. Place your thumb against the pad of your index finger and press until you feel texture. This is your portable ground. You're about to climb the smallest mountain that matters. Now the micro-exposure ladder. Classic exposure says, do the scary thing until it's boring. Useful in labs, brutal in life. Your ladder respects dignity and builds identity. It has 5 rungs and 2 rules. Rungs, peak, place, perform, persist, personalize. Rules, only climb 1 rung per session and end with a seal so your brain encodes success. Peak means you touch the edge for 1 minute. The door frame, the phone screen, the first tab of the form, and you breathe 4-4-6 while you look without acting. Place means you put 1 physical object or 1 word into the scene. A note card on the table where you'll speak, your name typed in the subject line, your shoes by the door. Perform means you do the first micro-behavior, dial and hang up after 1 ring, write 3 ugly lines, ask 1 tiny question. Persist means you stay with discomfort for 2 minutes longer than you want, after which you step away on purpose, not in panic. Personalize means you add something that makes the scene yours, a song in your earbuds, a mug you like, a line you've rehearsed. The ladder turns fear from a cliff into stairs. A domestic story with soft teeth. Talia had avoided the dentist for years because of a childhood memory of a drill's shriek. She wanted to go, her jaw ached. The thought of the chair made her elbows hum and her breath go thin. Saturday morning, she wrote a ladder. Peak, look up 3 clinics online for 1 minute each while breathing 4-4-6. Place, put her insurance card and a sticky note reading, call Monday by her laptop. Perform on Monday, dial 1 clinic. If panic, leave her name and number only. Persist. When they call back, listen for 2 minutes even if she wants to hang up. Then say, I'll call you back at 3 and keep the promise. Personalize, bring a weighted eye mask and ask for a hand signal to pause. She climbed a rung each day. The appointment was not bliss. It was doable. Walking out, she put a deposit in the trust ledger, faced the chair. Anxiety lost a square of territory it had held for a decade. Notice your throat. Is it tight like a drawstring? Loosen it 1 notch. Taste the ghost of water or coffee. Smell the room, paper, soap, rain, or nothing. The animal in you learns from smell and temperature. When you name them, you're telling the animal, we're here, it's now. You'll pair the ladder with a small map called the value vector. Anxiety asks, what if it goes wrong? The vector asks, Where is this headed if I repeat it? Draw a tiny arrow in your mind from today's 5-minute action to a value you care about: clarity, contribution, care, craft, freedom. If the action points toward the value, you climb. If it points away, you adjust how you climb. This keeps exposure from becoming masochism. You're not proving toughness, you're proving alignment. Here's a micro drill that makes climbing sticky: the courage receipt. After each rung, you write a one-line receipt like a cashier of your own bravery. Receipt: sent the awkward calendar invite. Receipt: stood at the doorway of the gym for 1 minute. You say it out loud and pocket it in memory. Dopamine-like specificity. Receipts keep you coming back. Sensation check. Press your palms together gently and feel the spread across the heel of the hands. Release. Roll your shoulders up, back, down like a slow tide. Let your gaze soften to middle distance, then bring it into crisp focus on a line in the room. The lens switch is a practice run for switching states under pressure. Sometimes fear isn't about a thing, it's about being seen. You'll use a quick frame called the spotlight swap. Your nervous system imagines a harsh white light on you, you pivot it onto your purpose. Ask, if the spotlight were on what I'm serving, what would I see? If you're giving a talk, you picture the one person who needs the sentence you're about to say. If you're posting, you picture the person at a bus stop who might read it and feel less alone. The swap calms the social alarm by replacing performative self-focus with service. Service is a stable drug. It quiets the amygdala because it gives your prefrontal cortex a clean brief. A story of the swap on a small stage with a lemon sent backstage. Ezra, a chef who hated cameras, had to demo a recipe on local TV. His hands buzzed, his breath sat in his throat, the host's teeth were very white. He ran fear to front: trace, fear is fumbling words. Test, smallest element saying the first sentence. Trim, just the intro line. Try, 5 minutes off stage. Then he swapped the spotlight. This is for the person who only has 15 minutes after work. On air, he looked slightly to the side of the lens and spoke to that person. His hands still buzzed. His voice carried purpose. Anxiety stayed, like weather beyond the kitchen door. He cooked anyway. Touch texture again. Table grain, denim seam, smooth ceramic. Feel the pull of gravity through your heels. Let your exhale lengthen 1 count. The next piece is the safety net you'll want on days the climb stretches your edges. Meet the anchor trio, 3 instant supports you can call by initials. BPP, breath, posture, place. Breath is 1-4-4-6 cycle, audible in your ribs. Posture is stack, crown up, tail heavy, shoulders down like coins sliding in a pocket. Place is naming exactly where you are. At the kitchen counter, 7:12 p.m., the smell of orange peel. Run BPP before you climb and after you seal. It tells your system, we begin and end on purpose. The beginning lowers anticipatory fear. The end prevents a win from dissolving into more demands. You'll also use the one-door rule to avoid overreaching. When you schedule a ladder rung, close one other door for that window. If you're calling a client, you're not also checking Slack. If you're standing at the gym doorway, your phone is on airplane mode. Single door attention turns 5 minutes into 5 minutes of training, not 1 minute of training and 4 minutes of avoidance with better branding. Check your neck's back line. Imagine a thread lifting the crown of your head a millimeter. Let your jaw hinge down slightly, teeth separated by a breath's width. Feel the cool air travel over your soft palate. Feel the warm exit. You're ready to pair exposure with kindness so this doesn't become self-bullying in disguise. You'll weave in the kind guard. Before any rung, you say one line that acknowledges the protector inside you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. Walk with me. Then you do the rung. This keeps your system from splitting into war, one part pushing, one part bracing. Integration is faster than conflict. A story in a living room full of half-finished projects. Jin kept a guitar he wanted to play, a half-coded app, a canvas with 2 blue lines. Every time he looked at them, his chest tightened and a tiredness washed him like gray paint. He assumed it meant laziness. He ran fear to front. Fear is starting and confirming I'm mediocre. Test, smallest element, picking up the guitar. Trim, 2 minutes, 3 chords. Try this evening. He set a micro-exposure ladder for each domain, 1 rung per night. Peak, open the app repo, place, put the brush on the table, perform, strum 3 chords, persist, stay 2 minutes past the sigh, personalize, play 1 favorite song in the background, courage receipts piled. 2 weeks later, the living room looked the same to a stranger. To Jin, it felt like a small studio. Anxiety still visited. It found fewer dark corners to bloom in. Return to your body. Touch the base of your skull with 2 fingers and breathe. Feel the gentle pull as muscles lengthen. Notice any heat at your ears. Imagine cool evening air passing there. These small sensory edits are like sanding the edges of a sharp thought until your hand can hold it. Sometimes exposure is a conversation that could change a relationship. You'll combine today's tools with the 4-sentence line, write a ladder for the talk. Peak, say the person's name and breathe. Place, text to schedule a time. Perform, speak the first sentence context. Persist, stay for a silence without filling it. Personalize, bring a cup of tea or sit in your favorite chair. Value vector points to care and clarity. Spotlight swap points to the health of us. You climb 1 rung today, schedule. Tomorrow, speak the first sentence. This is not cowardice, it is craft. We'll add the yes, no compass to guard against people-pleasing dressed as bravery. Write yes or no on opposite sides of a card. Before a rung, flip the card without looking. Say the side that lands as a sentence about your boundary. No, I won't take on another project this week. Yes, I can do 20 minutes Friday. Then run BPP and the rung. The card isn't magic. It's a prompt that pulls truth to the surface so you can deliver it clean. Check your hands. Are they cool or warm? Rub your palms together. Feel heat bloom. Place 1 hand over your sternum and 1 over your belly. Breathe so the lower hand rises first. The animal reads this as safe enough to approach, and it follows. Science brief and pointed. Exposure that works taps prediction error gently. Your brain expects catastrophe. You give it discomfort plus safety plus the smallest success. The amygdala updates its threat map through experience, not argument. 5-minute wins chained across days change the map. Neurologically, you're pairing a fear memory with a new outcome during reconsolidation windows. Practically, you're building a habit of starting. Close the loop with the courage calendar. Pick a small symbol, a dot, a star, a tiny lightning bolt, and mark 1 each day you climb 1 rung. Streaks aren't moral, they're momentum. If you break a streak, you don't start over with self-loathing. You start over with the smallest rung and a courage receipt. The calendar is not a judge, it's a witness. We'll end with a live 5-minute climb. Choose a fence you've been circling, an email, a file, a run, a text, a call. BPP, 1 breath, 1 stack, 1 place name. Fear to front, trace in 12 words. Test, smallest element and the value it serves. Trim, shave it to 5 minutes and a smaller scene. Try, set a timer for 5. Micro-exposure ladder. Pick your rung, peak by opening the thing, place your pen or your shoes, perform 1 tiny behavior, persist for 2 extra minutes if possible, personalize the room with a song or a mug. When the timer ends, say one sentence. I brought fear to the front and moved, and write your courage receipt. Touch your anchor object. Let your exhale grow long. Feel the cool in, the warm out. Hear the room near and far. Hold the identity line where it belongs, warm behind your ribs and steady behind your eyes. You are not avoidance, you are approach. You are not the fence, you are the one who opens a gate. You are not the dread before the dial tone, you are the breath that dials anyway. You are the awareness that traces, tests, trims, and tries. You are the climber who takes 5-minute steps and builds a life out of them. Anxiety will whisper its old lines. You will give it a seat on the bench and a job. Watch, you'll say, we're going to try, and then you will. Before you leave, take one last sensory bead. Feel the air at your nostrils, cool in, warm out. Press thumb to finger and count 3 gentle pulses. Look at a line in the room and let it steady you. Whisper, 1 rung, and take it. Tomorrow, another. The ladder is not a punishment. It is your way back to the rooms you want to inhabit. Today you'll learn to make clear decisions when your brain wants to stall, crowdsource, or catastrophize. Anxiety treats choices like cliffs. Focus treats them like doors. You'll build 2 tools that keep your prefrontal lights on when options blur: the clarity compass and the 2-door test. The clarity compass gives you a 3-question sequence that points you toward the decision that matches your values, time horizon, and real constraints. The 2-door test separates reversible from irreversible moves, so you stop treating every fork like a tattoo. Together they turn, what if I pick wrong, into, what's my next wise move? First, return to the body. Feel the air at the rim of your nostrils, cool sliding in, warm ribbon out. Unclench your teeth. Let your tongue rest broad and low like a small raft on a calm river. Hear the nearest sound, then the furthest, a hinge, a car, a faint bird, the hush of the room itself. Notice your sit bones or your heels. If you're standing, rock forward 1 centimeter, then back and find the middle. The middle is where decisions breathe. Here is the clarity compass. 3 questions, always in the same order. What matters most here? What is the smallest decision that moves that value forward today? What cost am I willing to pay and for how long? Ask out loud if you can. The first question pulls you out of optics and into values. The second shrinks the decision from identity to action. The third forces you to name trade-offs so anxiety can stop inventing hidden ones in the dark. A story where the compass cut through fog. Keisha received 2 offers in the same week, one from a stable firm with a clear ladder, one from a scrappy startup with a mission that glowed like coal in her chest. Her stomach hummed, sleep felt like a radio left on. Everyone had an opinion. In the living room light that tasted like warm dust, she sat with a pen and asked the first question. What matters most here? She wrote. Growth, craft, people I respect, time for my dad on weekends. Second question, what is the smallest decision that moves that value forward today? She answered. Run a 90-minute trial, pair program with the startup lead, and have a candid call with a senior at the firm about promotion timelines. Third question, what cost am I willing to pay and for how long? She said. More ambiguity for 6 months is acceptable. Weekend work is not. The calls happened. The trial felt alive. The firm felt safe and slightly airless. She chose the startup and put a boundary in writing: no Sunday meetings. 6 months later, she had scars and stories and most evenings free for her dad. The compass didn't predict outcomes. It aligned motion with a self she could live with. Scan your chest. Is there a plate behind the sternum? Let your exhale lengthen by 1 count. Place your thumb against the pad of your index finger and press until you feel texture. Texture is a truth your amygdala respects. It calms when you hand it honest, small data. You'll pair the compass with a micro drill called the 60-second Debias. It has a single sentence you finish twice. If I had to pick in 60 seconds, I'd choose because, then you flip it. If I had to reject in 60 seconds, I'd say no because. You're not locking anything. You're surfacing instinct and fear without letting either drive blind. The body often knows before the debate team in your head stops filibustering. Anxiety paints permanence on everything. The two-door test peels it off. Imagine the choice as two doors. If you can walk through, test what's on the other side, and walk back with minimal cost, it's a two-way door, biased toward motion. If stepping through requires heavy, slow reversal, legal, financial, relationship entanglement, it's a one-way door, biased toward deliberate pacing and more information. Most daily choices are two-way. Anxiety tells you they're all one way to keep you still. You will stop believing it. Feel the temperature at your temples. Warm, cool, neutral, name it. Taste whatever lingers in your mouth, mint, coffee, metal, nothing. The animal calms when named. The human decides when calm enough. Let's stitch in biology just enough to be useful. Under uncertainty, the amygdala tags ambiguity as risk. Blood flow tilts away from your prefrontal cortex, the part that holds values, suppresses impulsive noise, and sequences steps. When you breathe slowly, speak values out loud, and shrink decisions to the smallest viable move, you return blood to the part of your brain that chooses on purpose. You're not faking certainty, you're creating enough clarity for the next inch. Add the 10-breath split test to catch sunk cost and status pressure traps. For 10 breaths, you imagine having already picked option A, note sensations and pictures that arise without narration. Then 10 breaths imagining option B, which body movie carries more relief and integrity. Which one makes your jaw soften? Relief isn't always wisdom, but wisdom often has relief's temperature. Write down a sentence. Body says AB feels more like me because, bring that data to the compass. Another story, simple and real. A friend invited you to a weekend trip you don't actually want but fear declining. Your chest tightens, your shoulder blades rise like little shields. You run the compass aloud while standing at the sink with cool water running over your wrists. What matters most here? You answer, rest and honesty. What's the smallest decision that moves that value forward today? You answer, send a clean decline with care. What cost am I willing to pay and for how long? You answer, the cost is their momentary disappointment, willing for one day. Two-door test says it's a two-way door. Friendship survives if you own your truth kindly. You text, I'm out this weekend so I can rest. I love you. Let's do Tuesday coffee. Your jaw unclenches by 2 degrees. Anxiety had wanted you to write a novel. You wrote a sentence. Notice the skin on your forearms, goosebumps, warmth, neutral. Let your eyes travel gently to the edges of the room, the left boundary, the right, the ceiling, or the patch of sky. Horizon tells the old mammal you're not trapped. Trapped mammals make fear-based choices. Free mammals choose. Sometimes decisions are messy because you're trying to optimize 5 variables with one move. Use the one-move map. Draw a mental map of the next 7 days and ask, which single move would positively infect the most squares? If cleaning a debt conversation makes 3 other tasks lighter, that's the move. If deciding the date for an event unlocks 4 people's planning, that's the move. You act there first, then rerun the compass on the remainder. This is leverage, not perfection. Add the red team whisper to protect against fantasy. For 30 seconds, you become your own friendly skeptic and whisper, how could this go wrong in ordinary ways? You list 2 mundane failure modes, late email, misread tone. Then you craft 1 tiny mitigation, set 2 alarms, read your message out loud once before sending. You're not catastrophizing. You're trimming the most snaggy branches before you walk. Check your jaw. Place the tip of your tongue on the ridge behind your top teeth. Let the back widen. Roll your shoulders once, slow and round. Feel your feet. You're building a posture of choice. You'll want a ritual that makes decisions live faster than your brain's courtroom. Use the pen drop decision. Hold a pen. Speak the compass questions out loud. When you answer the third, naming cost and duration, drop the pen onto the table and take the smallest step associated with your answer before picking it up. The drop is symbolic and physical. Your nervous system loves rituals that end with action. It stops treating decisions like essays. An office story with fluorescent light and a lemon cleaner smell. Matteo, who you met earlier at a board meeting, now had to decide whether to cut a feature his team loved but users weren't touching. Slack buzzed with attachment. He asked the compass aloud to an empty conference room. What matters most? He said, product clarity and user trust. Smallest decision that moves that value forward today, he said. Limit the feature to a small beta for 30 days and measure one behavior. Cost and duration, he said. Team disappointment for a week may be too acceptable. Two-door test. Two-way beta can be rolled back with minimal cost. Pen drop. He wrote the beta announcement draft before picking up the pen. In stand-up, he ran the 4-sentence line with care. The disappointment landed but didn't metastasize. 30 days later, the data made the decision obvious. Anxiety's courtroom had no case. Feel the cool at the back of your throat on the inhale, the warmer stream out. Touch the table and track the grain with your fingertip. Hear the fast sound again. Your senses are the scaffolding that holds a steadiest you while choices move. Sometimes you're torn because you're conflating identity with outcome. Use the role swap. Ask, as the caretaker of my future self, what would I choose? Then ask, as the steward of this relationship, what would I choose? If both answers clash, you use the compass to find a smallest decision that honors both by 10%. Schedule the talk and protect an evening. That 10% alignment lowers anxiety enough to move. Microdrill for chronically hesitant days. The 3 timers cascade. Set a 2-minute timer to draft the decision in plain words. When it ends, set a 1-minute timer to strip adjectives and leave only nouns and verbs. When it ends, set a 30-second timer to take the first action. Even on low-energy days, 3 cascading bells move you through analysis to motion. An intimate story that matters. You've been thinking about moving in with your partner. Your chest alternates between helium and stone. You picture shifting furniture and losing solitude. You run the 10-breath split test. Living together felt warm across your cheeks with a slight squeeze at the ribs. Staying separate felt cool at the jaw and buzzy in the head. You write, body says together holds relief around evenings. Fear lives in space. Clarity compass. What matters most? You say intimacy and protected creative time. Smallest decision today, you say trial month with 2 scheduled solo nights, written and respected. Cost and duration, you say less spontaneity, 1 month. 2-door test, 2-way, moving back would be messy but doable. You pen drop, send a message that proposes the trial with boundaries. Anxiety wanted a forever answer. You gave it a test and a calendar. Check your lower ribs. Let them widen side to side. Name the taste in your mouth. Glance toward a line in the room and let it steady you. These tiny anchors shorten the distance between idea and action. Your reticular activating system can help the compass work faster. Give it a phrase when deciding. Find the smallest true decision. Whisper it on a 4-4-6 breath. Your attention will start highlighting the click that turns the lock rather than the ornate frame around the door. The ornate frame is where anxiety likes to argue. The lock is where your hand belongs. Sometimes you need to decide in front of people who are watching, which turns choice into performance. Use the hallway pause. Ask for 60 seconds, step into a hallway or turn your chair 30 degrees, run 1-4-4-6 breath, ask the compass once, and use the two-door test. Then return with a sentence that begins, "Here's the smallest decision I'll make today and what I'll review next." The sentence disarms pressure by showing pace and scope. You're not waffling, you're sequencing. A short story with whiteboards and dry erase fumes. An engineering trio argued over which database to use. The room tightened, voices climbed ladders. Amara held up a finger, turned her chair to face the window, and ran the hallway pause in place. Compass, performance, and reliability matter most. Smallest decision, prototype both with one read-heavy workload by Thursday. Cost, extra engineering hours for 3 days acceptable. Two-door, two-way, prototype is reversible. She turned back. Smallest decision, 2 prototypes, 1 workload Thursday review. Shoulders dropped. The air returned. Anxiety hates sequence. It can't get leverage when you give the room a staircase. Feel your hands. Are they warm, cool, neutral? Rub your palms until warmth blooms and spreads into your fingers. That warmth is a small, honest signal that you can move blood where you want it. You can do the same with attention. Use the regret window to keep future you in the room. Ask, in 1 year, which choice am I likelier to regret not trying? You're not worshipping novelty. You're checking for asymmetry when the cost of inaction quietly outweighs the cost of a small, messy try. Pair the answer with the two-door test so you don't mistake romance for rigor. Add a closing ritual called the decision seal. After you act, stand and roll your shoulders once, let your jaw hang for a beat, and speak 3 short lines. I chose for X. I'll review on Y. Next Q is Z. X is the value, Y is the date, Z is the concrete trigger, calendar reminder, prototype demo, dinner on Wednesday. Seals prevent your brain from reopening the same case every hour like a lonely judge. Anxiety feeds on unsealed loops. You are sealing loops on purpose. Another story, tiny and domestic. Your wardrobe stresses you each morning, not a crisis, but the drip-drip kind. You run the compass, what matters is ease and fewer choices. Smallest decision today is to box 3 items you haven't worn in 6 months. Cost, a moment of scarcity panic, 15 minutes. Two-door, two-way, you can retrieve from the box for 30 days. You set the 10-breath split test, keep the dress or not, and your jaw softens at the image of space. Pen drop. 15 minutes later, the hangers slide easier. You seal, chose for ease, review in 30 days, next cue is Saturday morning. The day gets 5% lighter, 5% stack. One more sensory beat. Smell the room, soap, paper, rain, neutral. Listen near then far. Place 2 fingers at the base of your skull and invite a small lengthening. Let the exhale thread back across your throat like warm silk. Hold the identity line because it sharpens the entire craft. You are not the indecision. You are the awareness that asks what matters, chooses one smallest true move, and names the cost you accept. You are the person who knows most doors swing both ways and that the few that don't deserve a slower walk, not a standstill born of fear. You are the sky in which options pass like weather. You are the hand that opens the right door for now. When you forget, you will feel the old squeeze in your chest and remember you have a compass, doors, and a breath that lengthens the exhale. You will ask your 3 questions. You will touch the knob. You will move. Close this session with a live decision. Bring 1 fork to mind, email now or tomorrow, ask the question or stay silent, decline or accept, start or wait. Breathe 4-4-6 once. Ask what matters most here, answer in 6 words. Ask, what is the smallest decision that moves that value forward today? Answer with a verb and a noun. Ask, what cost am I willing to pay and for how long? Name it. Run the two-door test. If it's two-way, bias toward motion. If one-way, schedule a time-bounded information sprint and name the next review. Pen drop. Do the smallest action before you pick it up. Seal with your 3 lines. Feel the click. Hear the small exhale your system gives when a loop closes. That exhale is confidence in sentence form. Your room hasn't changed. Your posture has. Your amygdala still scans. Your compass still points. The world will continue to hand you forks that pretend to be cliffs. You will keep finding the door. Cool air in, warm air out. One hand on the knob, one question in your mouth, then the smallest true step. Today you'll learn to stay honest when pressure wants you polished. Anxiety pushes you to perform a version of yourself that's smoother than truth. Then you feel the split and call it imposter syndrome. Focus doesn't mean perfect. It means congruent. Your words, body, and values point in the same direction. 2 tools will stitch these together even when the room is hot: the truth thread and the CARE loop. The truth thread is a single sentence you can grip under stress that keeps you anchored to what matters. The CARE loop, calibrate, ask, reveal, enroll, turns tense exchanges into collaborative problem-solving without you shrinking or spiking. With these, authenticity stops being a poster on the wall and becomes a repeatable sequence in your mouth and bones. Start where the body tells the truth. Feel the air at your upper lip, cooler on the inhale, warmer on the exhale. Unhook your back teeth by a millimeter. Let the tongue rest wide and low like a calm creature on warm stone. Sense your sit bones or your heels. If you're standing, rock forward a centimeter until the balls of your feet wake, then back until your heels kiss the floor. Find the middle. Hear the nearest sound, the soft scrape of fabric as you breathe, then the furthest, the distant car, a bird testing the air, the room's quiet electricity. When the world widens, performance loosens its grip. Truth has room. The truth thread starts with 3 moves you'll practice until they're reflex. Name the value, name the fact, name the small ask. You compress them into one sentence you can say to yourself first, then aloud if the scene allows. Value clarity, fact, we're over scope. Small ask, decide one feature to drop. Or value care, fact, I'm at capacity. Small ask, move the deadline by a day. The sentence is your tether when anxiety tries to make you agreeable at the expense of integrity. The thread doesn't require eloquence. It requires contact with the world as it is and the world you want to build. A story that shows the thread holding in heat. In a glass box of a meeting room that smelled like dry erase marker and citrus cleaner, Aidan watched the slide deck march toward an impossible promise. The VP's jaw set in that particular way that meant, just nod. Aidan's chest thudded. The old instinct rose, smile, say yes, die later. He slid his thumb against his index finger texture anchor and whispered the thread in his head. Value, trust. Fact, timeline tight. Small ask, name the trade-off. He felt his jaw unhook a notch. When the pause came, he said, steady, to protect trust, we need to name a trade-off. We can hit the date with fewer integrations or deliver full scope 2 weeks later, which serves the customer best. The VP exhaled through his nose, looked down, then nodded. The room shifted from performance to choice. Aidan didn't deliver a speech. He tugged a thread. Check your chest. Is there a plate behind your sternum? Let the exhale lengthen by 1 count and feel your lower ribs widen side to side like bellows. Place your palm on the table or your knee and really feel texture, the grain, the weave. Taste whatever lingers, coffee, mint, nothing. The animal believes texture more than promises. Give it texture and it will give you steadier voice. Here's the CARE loop. It's 4 moves designed to be spoken in under a minute when a conversation runs hot. Calibrate, ask, reveal, enroll. Calibrate means you check your threat thermostat number and run the right somatic switchboard route for exactly 2 breaths. Downshift if you're edgy, upshift if you're flat, center if you're scattered. Ask means you lead with one clarifying question that points attention at the shared problem, not the person. Reveal means you show one clean square inch of truth, your constraint, your intent, or your data, without apology or edge. Enroll means you invite a next step you can actually do together in the next hour, day, or week. You say the loop once, then shut up long enough to hear the room breathe. You'll feel it in the mouth. Practice the loop with me now softly. Whisper, calibrate. Take 1-4-4-6 breath. Whisper, ask. Say, what outcome do you want most by Friday? Whisper, reveal. Say, here's the constraint I'm holding. 2 engineers, 1 holiday. Whisper, enroll. Say, would you pick between shipping the core at quality Friday or the extras next Wednesday? Hear how your tone changes when you name the constraint as a fact, not a confession. Facts relax jaws. Confessions tighten them. A story where CARE turned a fight into a plan. Priya again, the clinician with the throb behind her eyes. A patient's family cornered her in the hallway. Their words carried a serrated edge. Why didn't we hear the results sooner? Priya felt her breath climb her throat. The fluorescent light sharpened the scene. She ran calibrate, 2 quiet 4-4-6 breaths, eyes to the horizon of the hallway. Ask, what is most important to you right now? Speed, detail, or clarity about next steps? Reveal, I have 15 minutes before a critical consult. I can give you a clear next step now and a full call at 4. Enroll, will you meet me in the family room in 2 minutes and we'll set that call together? The father's shoulders dropped a centimeter. 15 minutes later, the call was on the calendar with a specific time. The serrated edge dulled to concern. Priya didn't trade honesty for harmony, she welded them. Feel the back of your neck. Imagine a cool palm there. Drop your shoulders as if warm water poured down the blades. Let your eyes visit the 4 corners of the room, left upper, right lower, left lower. That visual sweep tells your midbrain you can see more than the problem. When your world gets bigger, your voice gets kinder without getting softer. To make thread and CARE automatic, you'll use the sanctuary room. Not a literal room, an inner place you can enter in 1 breath. Build it with 3 anchors you can recall in under 2 seconds. A color, a texture, a sentence. Color could be deep indigo, texture could be weathered wood. Sentence could be, I'll tell the truth kindly. When pressure spikes, you touch the sanctuary for 1 breath. You come back with your thread and run the loop. This prevents authenticity from turning into aggression or retreat. It turns it into tone. Another story, domestic and close. Leela and her partner Jonah spun a late-night loop about money. The kitchen smelled like dish soap and citrus. The clock stared. Leela felt the old panic. Prove you're responsible, talk faster, gesture wider. She touched the counter's edge texture and stepped into the sanctuary, indigo, wood. I'll tell the truth kindly. She calibrated, 1 long exhale. Ask, what do you need to feel steady about this month? Reveal, I want us to save. I also need 2 nights without overtime to stay human. Enroll, let's mark those nights and move the trip by 2 weeks. Jonah nodded, jaw unclenched. The night didn't become a movie, but it also didn't become a bruise. The truth was spoken with doors. Science bridge, small and useful. When you speak values and facts in short, concrete sentences, you recruit dorsolateral prefrontal regions that govern planning and impulse control, while dampening limbic overactivation. Naming your value reduces social threat, because you frame intent. Naming a fact reduces ambiguity. Naming a small ask creates a doable motor plan. Your nervous system reads short, declarative physics better than baroque justification. This is not about being smart, it's about being legible to yourself first. Bring the reticular activating system to the party with a phrase that aligns attention. Find the honest small sentence. Whisper it into a 4-4-6 breath. Your RAS will begin highlighting words that fit in a mouth during a tense minute. I can't by Friday, I can by Tuesday noon. I'll need quiet from 8 to 10. My capacity is 2, not 4. Tiny sentences carry big stability. Add a micro drill called the heat to handle. When you feel heat rise, ears, cheeks, sternum, you convert it to a sentence in 5 seconds. Name the heat location, name your value, then the ask. Heat in cheeks. Value craft, ask, walk me through the standard. Or heat at sternum. Value rest, ask, move this to tomorrow. Heat turns from enemy to handle because you train the conversion. Practice it. Today you'll learn to turn uncertainty from background static into a signal that helps you choose, create, and rest. Anxiety hates uncertainty because it can't negotiate with fog. It either fills it with disasters or tries to clear it with control. You don't need either. You need a way to stand inside not knowing without shrinking or burning out. 2 tools will give you that stance: the uncertainty compass and the meaning-making loop. The uncertainty compass shows you which kind of unknown you're facing and what move fits: learn, relate, create, or wait. The meaning-making loop keeps your brain from writing doom novels. It converts raw ambiguity into a story that fuels action and preserves hope. Together, they'll teach you to hold the space between stimulus and response like a craftsman holds a blade, steady, useful, and safe. Begin where your body proves you're alive. Feel the air skim the rim of your nostrils, cool in, warm out. Unhook your teeth. Let your tongue rest broad and low like a small raft. Notice the contact points: back against chair in 2 or 3 places, feet against floor, palms touching thighs or the table. Hear the nearest sound: fabric brush, fan, a soft click. Then the furthest: traffic hush, a distant bird, the room's quiet electricity. Uncertainty shrinks perception to a pinhole. You just widen the lens. The uncertainty compass has 4 quadrants you can reach for when your chest tightens and your thoughts start casting shadows. Learn is for unknowns you can shrink with information. Relate is for unknowns that live inside people, what they feel, want, fear, addressed by conversation and empathy. Create is for unknowns that will not answer research because you must make the path: art, strategy, invention. Wait is for unknowns that time resolves better than effort. Test results pending, storms moving through, integrations that need sleep to stitch. Your job is to name the quadrant before you move. When you pick the wrong quadrant, anxiety multiplies. When you pick the right one, it settles into a useful hum. A story to put weight on the compass. In a hallway that smelled like coffee and whiteboard marker, Rena stared at a dashboard of numbers that refused to make a clean sentence. Sign-ups were flat. Marketing wanted a new campaign. Engineering wanted just one more feature. Investors pinged with the digital equivalent of raised eyebrows. Her stomach buzzed. Breath climbed high. The future felt like a foggy highway with glare. Old Rena would open 12 tabs and doom scroll competitors. New Rena drew a tiny cross on a sticky NESW and wrote LRCW on the arms. Which quadrant? She whispered. Learn: what specific behavior do users show before they bounce? Relate: which team fears what? Create: which small bet have we never placed? Wait: which signals require a full week to stabilize? She breathed 4-4-6 once, pressed her thumb to her index finger until she felt texture, and chose one move in each. Learn, review 5 user sessions right now. Relate, ask marketing and engineering for 1 fear sentence each. Create, mock a variant of the first screen. Wait, set an alarm to review numbers Friday, not tonight. The buzz stayed, but the room regained edges. By Friday, 1 screen shaved a friction step. Sign-ups nudged, her chest loosened. The fog hadn't cleared because she worried harder. It thinned because she oriented. Check your ribs. Let the breath widen them side to side like a bellows, not just up and down. Feel the fabric against your forearms. Name it smooth, coarse, soft. If your jaw is creeping tight, set the tip of your tongue behind your top teeth and let the back of your tongue widen. Those small choices are the body's way of saying, we can hold this. Now the meaning-making loop. Anxiety rushes to write meaning the second uncertainty enters the room. If they haven't replied, they're angry. If my heart races, I'm weak. The loop gives you a disciplined sequence. Notice, name, narrow, narrate, next. Notice means you catch the first flare without adding adjectives. Email unanswered, heart fast, forecast changing. Name means you label the event a neutral way, uncertain state. Ambiguous cue, open loop. Narrow means you limit the scope. This email, not my career. This run, not my health. This week's revenue, not the company's fate. Narrate means you tell one short story with both a grounded and hopeful thread. 2 likely reasons exist. One is benign. I'll act where I can. Next means you pick one visible action that fits your uncertainty compass quadrant. The loop replaces catastrophe with choreography. Try it, live with a small unknown. Bring to mind a message unanswered for 2 days. Feel the small tug behind your sternum. Notice, no reply yet. Name, uncertain state. Narrow, this thread, not our whole friendship. Narrate, they could be swamped or unsure. I'll make it easy to respond. Next, send a 2-line nudge with a simple yes-no. Your chest doesn't need a lecture, it needs a loop. Another sensory beat to keep your prefrontal lights on. Smell the room, paper, soap, rain, nothing. Taste what lingers, mint, coffee, neutral. If there's heat in your ears, imagine cool evening air sliding past. Roll your shoulders up, back and down like a slow tide. The animal settles, the human can do craft. You'll add 2 micro-drills that glue uncertainty to usefulness. The 5-word why and the 90-second weather window. The 5-word why forces your story to serve values. Because it protects, because it builds, because it honors, 5 words only. Send nudge because it protects clarity. Wait because it honors timing. 5 words fence in melodrama. The 90-second weather window is what you run when you cannot move the situation yet. For 90 seconds, you breathe 4-4-6 and track sensations with kind accuracy. Flutter under ribs, warmth at cheeks, tight jaw. Then you speak 1 line. Weather passes. I choose my next move when the window closes. You're not numbing. You're refusing to let the storm write your identity. There's a domestic story here, quiet and sharp. On a Sunday that smelled like detergent and toast, you noticed silence from a friend after a brittle dinner. Your chest tightened, the fridge's hum got louder, the room turned too bright. The old loop ran, they're done with me. You caught it, uncertainty compass, relate. You ran the meaning-making loop. Notice, silence. Name, uncertain state. Narrow, this week, this dinner. Narrate 2 threads, they need space or they're hurt and waiting, either way connection matters. Next, a 1-sentence text with care and adore. Dinner felt off, I care about us, I'm here when you want to talk. You added a 5-word why, because it protects the bridge. Then you ran the 90-second weather window, palms pressed together gently until you felt warmth bloom. The rest of Sunday you lived inside your life, laundry, a walk, a book, without building a courtroom. Monday they replied, Wednesday you talked. Even if they hadn't, you would have stayed yourself. Check the back of your neck where small muscles cling. Invite length. Imagine a thread lifting the crown of your head. Feel the exhale brush the back of your throat like warm silk. See 3 edges of the room. Horizon tells your system there's more world than this moment's fear. Sometimes uncertainty is in your own path, not other people. You want to write, build, change, but the road ahead is fog. That's create quadrant territory. It asks for experiments, not forecasts. You'll pair the uncertainty compass with a tool called the 2-week sandbox. You choose a tiny outcome you can build in 2 weeks with clear, inspectable artifacts, 10 pages, 1 landing page, 3 sales calls, a micro prototype. You write a sandbox rule, no judgment until demo day. You add an inspection ritual. At the end, you ask only, what worked, what didn't, what next? Anxiety hates sandboxes because they deny its favorite move, declaring failure before evidence exists. You love sandboxes because they trade the fantasy of control for the fact of progress. Press thumb to finger and feel texture. Listen for a fast sound. Let your jaw unhook by a grain. Your body is learning that not knowing is survivable. You'll also need a guardrail against certainty theater, the habit of fake deciding just to feel in control. Introduce the maybe with teeth. Maybe is fine if it has a review date and a metric. Maybe we continue with this vendor becomes we continue for 30 days, review on the 15th, success equals response time under 2 hours. The teeth are the date and the number. Without them, maybe is anxiety in costume. A work story where maybe grew teeth. Jonas led support. A new chatbot looked promising and unreliable. Anxiety tempted him to either slam it in or scrap it. He chose maybe with teeth. Keep the bot live in after hours for 21 days. Success equals resolving 30% of queries with satisfaction above 4.35. Review on the 22nd at 10 a.m. He posted the metric, set a calendar block, and breathed easier because uncertainty had a corral. 21 days later, the number said keep it. The team said train it more. The decision felt simple because the maybe had a spine. Feel the skin along your cheekbones. Warm, cool, neutral, name it. Slide your attention to your feet. Press the big toes lightly into the floor, then release. Sensation anchors stop your amygdala from stealing the whole channel. The meaning-making loop has an advanced setting, the double narrative. You write 2 one-sentence stories on purpose, grounded threat and grounded hope. Grounded threat, the most sober, non-dramatic concern. Cash runway tightens by October. Grounded hope, the most sober, non-fantastical positive. Pilot could convert 5 accounts. You hold them both. Then you ask your uncertainty compass which quadrant serves which. Learn might shrink the threat. Create might grow the hope. Relate might turn a gatekeeper into an ally. Wait might prevent you from thrashing. Holding 2 stories opens more doors than clinging to one. Add a micro drill called the calendar stone. When uncertainty spikes about something with a timeline, results, responses, reviews, you place a stone on a future date in your calendar with a clean phrase, open the envelope. Between now and the stone, you run your day. When anxiety tries to pry the envelope early, you whisper, stone holds it, and move to the smallest action that fits today. You're borrowing confidence from your own future permission. Another story, intimate and medical. A test result loomed for Danny. Her throat felt tight as paper. Nights were a carousel of what if. She ran the calendar stone, doctor's portal check on Thursday at 2 p.m., not before, and tied a 5-word why, because it protects this week. She set a daily 2-week sandbox, 10-minute walk, 5-minute journal, 3 calls to friends over 7 days. She used the 90-second weather window each time her chest sped up. Thursday arrived anyway. The result was mixed. Life asked for more waiting. She added another stone and kept her rituals. The uncertainty didn't become a character called Doom who lived in her house. It became whether that she could name, prepare for, and live through while still making soup and laughing once a day. Check your jaw again. Float the molars a millimeter apart. Place your hand over your sternum and feel the lift and slide of breath. Look at a line in the room and let it steady you. These are the simple acts by which humans have always endured. You'll want a way to enlist your reticular activating system so it hunts for signals that actually matter. Give it a phrase when fog thickens. Find the next inspectable fact. Whisper it on a 4-4-6 breath. Your attention will seek numbers, timestamps, or direct quotes instead of vibes. Facts don't banish uncertainty, they right-size it. When uncertainty tempts you to over-communicate, use the 3-candle message. 1 candle for context, 1 for what's known unknown, 1 for next step. Context, launch timing is under review. Known, we are waiting on security sign-off. Unknown, exact date. Next, I'll update Friday 3 p.m. 3 candles light the path without burning the house. Anxiety loves paragraphs, people love candles. A short story inside a noisy home office. Priya's team slacked. Is the rollout late? 4 times in 10 minutes. Her chest warmed, fingers itched to reply to each with new variations. She ran the uncertainty compass, wait plus learn. She grabbed 2 inspectable facts, then lit 3 candles in 1 post. The room quieted. Her jaw softened. Uncertainty didn't vanish. It got a chair and a schedule. Taste the air, neutral, coffee, mint. Hear near and far. Feel the chair or the floor. You're building a body memory. Under fog, we breathe, we name, we choose. Sometimes the most compassionate move under uncertainty is to reduce inputs. You'll use the window diet. For 1 week, you shrink the number of windows your brain looks through. News at 1 set time, email at 3 windows a day, social media on weekends only. You pair each window with a 5-word why so your nervous system understands the boundary. It's not denial, it's bandwidth stewardship. A small, meaningful story. After a tough quarter, Eli had the habit of refreshing dashboards like a rosary. Sleep frayed, conversations thinned. He set a window diet, metrics at 10 and 4 with a 5-word why, because it protects deep work. The first 2 days felt like quitting sugar. He used the 90-second weather window and the calendar stone for the next review. By day 4, his shoulders sat lower. His team got more eye contact. The numbers still arrived. He did too. If your chest tightens now, place 1 palm on your belly, 1 on your sternum. Let the lower hand rise first. Whisper, weather, not me, and let the exhale lengthen. You are reminding your oldest circuits who is in charge. Tie today's tools back to identity because this thread holds everything together. Anxiety says, uncertainty is danger. You will say, uncertainty is material. With the uncertainty compass, you choose a quadrant and act in proportion. With the meaning-making loop, you keep the story sober and useful. With micro-drills, 5-word why 90-second weather window, calendar stone, you stay human while you work. You are the awareness that stands in fog and builds a path 1 flag at a time. Close with a live practice that takes less than 5 minutes. Bring to mind 1 unresolved thing, an email, a plan, a result, a choice. Read your body, jaw, ribs, temperature at your temples. Breathe 4-4-6 once. Choose a quadrant, learn, relate, create, wait. Run the meaning-making loop, notice, name, narrow, narrate, next. speak a 5-word why. If waiting, place a calendar stone. If creating, set a 2-week sandbox seed. If relating, light 3 candles. If learning, pick one inspectable fact to gather. Seal with one sentence spoken aloud. I can stand in not knowing and still move. Feel the click of that line in your ribs. Hear the faint sigh your system gives when a loop is closed. That sigh is power, not surrender. One more sensory bead before you go. Feel cool air in, warm air out. Touch texture, wood grain, denim seam, ceramic curve. See a horizon line even if it's a ceiling edge. You are not the fog. You are the walker who names the fog, carries a lamp, and keeps placing markers where others will pass more easily because you did. That is emotional alchemy at the edge of the map. It's where anxiety turns into focus and focus turns into quiet courage that doesn't need a witness to be real. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are the sky, not the weather. You are the maker of meaning that protects what you love and invites what you want. When uncertainty arrives tomorrow, you will know what to do. Breathe, name, choose a quadrant, loop the meaning, take the next smallest true step, and seal. The rest will meet you. Today you'll stitch everything you've learned into the skin of who you are. Tools are powerful. Identity is permanent. Anxiety loves to argue case by case, moment by moment, until you're depleted. Identity ends the argument. When you know who you are under pressure, you don't ask permission from the weather. You act. Today you'll build 2 frameworks that install your new operating system so it boots even when you're tired. The Identity Anchor Protocol and the Proof Loop. The anchor gives you a 1-sentence core and a 3-part ritual that brings it online in 60 seconds. The proof loop turns that sentence into evidence by the hour, so your brain stops waiting for confidence and starts recognizing itself in motion. Together, they make the craft you've practiced feel like a home you live in, not a gym you visit when you feel virtuous. Begin with the body, because identity without a body is just marketing. Feel the air skim the rims of your nostrils, cool in, warm out. Unhook your teeth. Let the tongue rest broad and low like a small raft. Notice the weight of your feet, big toe, little toe, heel, a triangle that says you're here. Hear the nearest sound, the whisper of fabric, a clock's syllable, then the farthest, traffic, a bird, the faint electricity of a room. Anxiety narrows you to a single point. Identity widens you to a person with a spine. The Identity Anchor Protocol has 3 parts with a single sentence at its heart. You'll write a core line, then run prime, place, and prove. The core line is a 12-word maximum identity statement that survives stress. I am a calm, honest finisher who moves in small steps. Or I am a clear, kind decider who keeps one promise at a time. Not role-based, not outcome-based, feature-based. When the storm hits, roles blur and outcomes wobble, features stay. Once written, you prime your system with a 4-4-6 breath and a micro-posture spine zip. You place the line somewhere sensory, mouth, palms, space. You prove it with a smallest true action in under 1 minute. Anchor means this runs at thresholds, waking, entering rooms, opening laptops, stepping into calls, standing at doorframes. Identity becomes a reflex, not a speech. You'll write the core line now. Close your eyes for 1 breath. Name 3 features you admire in yourself when things go well: steady, curious, precise, generous, relentless, clear. Pick 2. Add a verb that belongs to your craft: finish, ask, choose, begin, repair, focus. Add 1 step at a time or under pressure if it feels true. You might land at I am a clear, steady finisher under pressure, or I am a curious, kind asker who moves 1 step at a time. Speak it out loud once. Hear how your voice rides it. If it feels like a costume, trim it until it fits. Feel your ribs widen to the sides like bellows. Place your thumb on the pad of your index finger and feel the texture. Prime 1446. Tap your sternum gently or touch the edge of your jaw where you hold tension. Choose one tiny act that your line would take. Open the dock, write the subject line, ask a question, put water by your laptop. Done in 60 seconds. The brain believes what the body repeats. A story that shows the anchor under fluorescent light. In an open office that smelled like toner and stale coffee, Mina faced a quarterly review with a manager who prized speed over care. Her stomach felt carbonated, her ears warmed. Old Mina chased approval with floodwater words. New Mina had a core line: "I am a clear, kind decider who keeps one promise." At the door, she ran prime with a 446 and spine zip. She placed her hand briefly over her sternum. She proved by writing one promise on the top of her notebook. A line on metrics for Q3. In the meeting, when her manager scattered goals like birdseed, she asked one clean question: which two numbers decide success? The room stilled. The manager named them. Mina wrote them, then set a next smallest move. Anxiety moved to the corner. The anchor sat in the chair. Check your jaw. Float the molars a millimeter apart. Feel the air in and out at the back of your throat, warmer on the exhale like a ribbon. Notice the skin on your forearms, goosebumps, warm, neutral. The body is a truth teller. You're aligning truth and talk. Now the proof loop. Identity fails when it stays in slogans. Proof turns slogans into signatures your nervous system recognizes. The loop has 4 beats you already know, arranged to engrave identity. Q, act, acknowledge, archive. Q is a visible, predictable signal that it's time to be you. Doorframes, login screens, crossings from hallway to room, calendar alarms named with verbs. Act is a smallest true behavior that fits your anchor and the scene. Acknowledge is a 3-second physical seal. Tap the page twice, press thumb to finger, whisper, click. Archive is where you store the receipt so your brain sees a trail. A tiny hash mark, a dot on a courage calendar, a line in the trust ledger, or a one-line note at day's end. You're teaching your reticular activating system to notice proof of who you say you are. Brains love receipts. A domestic story with soft teeth. After months of tomorrow, Luca wanted to stop doom scrolling after dinner. His anchor read, "I am a present, steady partner who chooses one true thing." He set the cue as the sound of the dishwasher starting. Act, put the phone in the bowl by the door and ask one question that begins with, "What felt alive today?" Acknowledge, tap the counter twice. Archive, a dot on the calendar by the fridge labeled alive. The first night, the question felt corny. The second night, their partner laughed and told a story about a stranger's dog. By week 2, anxiety at 9 p.m. had no place to live. It didn't vanish. It became a guest with limits. Place your palm on your sternum and the other on your belly. Breathe so the lower hand rises first, then the upper. If there's heat behind your eyes, imagine a cool cloth pressed there by a friend who has known you for years. Feel the chair's support or the floor's gravity. We build identity in these inches. An advanced layer of the anchor is the sanctuary room, an imaginal space you can step into anywhere that reminds your nervous system of who is driving. Picture a simple room, one window with soft light, a table with one object that matters, a pen, a mug, a photo, a door that opens only from the inside. On the wall is your core line, engraved like an old library plate. When chaos spikes, you step inside for one breath, see the window, touch the table, read the plate, take one action. You can build this in a real corner too. A chair by a window, a plant, a small lamp, a card with your line. The brain loves place. Give it a place that loves you back. A story from a stairwell that smelled like dust and paint. Shay ran customer escalations. After a brutal call, her hands shook. Old Shay would pace and rehearse self-indictments. New Shay found the building's forgotten landing with a single window. She imagined her sanctuary room there, prime 4-4-6. Place a palm on the cool metal rail. Read her plate, I am a calm, honest finisher. Prove, open the incident note, and write the first 3 factual sentences. Acknowledge, a double tap on the rail. Archive, a dot on the ledger labeled Sanctuary. The hallway didn't get nicer. Shay got steadier. Feel the temperature at your temples. Warm, cool, name it. Taste whatever lingers, mint, coffee, neutral. Your amygdala cannot monopolize the channel when you keep feeding it accurate sensation. You'll integrate the anchor with earlier tools so your identity speaks through behavior. Anchor plus boundary compass, prime, then choose north, east, south, west, and speak the 4-sentence line in your anchor's tone. Anchor plus focus circuit, prime before clear, aim, sprint, seal, write your core line at the top of the aim scrap. Anchor plus Aftershock Protocol, ground, gist, good. Go while holding your anchor so good points to your feature, not your fantasy. Anchor plus Threat Thermostat, read your number, run switchboard, then speak or act as your line would at that number. Identity isn't wallpaper, it's the voice the tools borrow. Another story, messy and real. Darren co-parented with his ex. The handoff days were tight with logistics and the ghost of old arguments. His anchor was, I am a clear, respectful adult who chooses smallest true care. He wrote it on a card in his car's console. Before handoffs, he did prime with 4-4-6 and spine zip, place by touching the steering wheel's seam. He proved by setting a single aim, confirm Tuesday pickup in 1 sentence. When friction arrived, late text, forgotten sweater, he ran the boundary compass to south and spoke. Context, we both want calm handoffs. Boundary, I don't replan by text in the last hour. Option, I can do 5 p.m. or 5:30, what works? Care our kid first. The old loop didn't disappear, it lost oxygen. His identity wasn't a weapon, it was a room he stood in while he spoke. Check your jaw again, and that tiny string at the back of your neck. Lengthen, then lower your shoulders like coins sliding in a pocket. Hear the furthest sound. Feel the chair under your thighs or the floor under your heels. You are returning to the stage in your body where identity performs. Now build the habit echo method so the proof loop reverberates. Every anchor proof leaves an echo, an afterfeel in breath and muscle that lasts 20 to 90 seconds. You'll catch it and amplify it so confidence compounds. 3 steps, catch, name, repeat. Catch the echo right after you prove. Notice a loosened jaw, a warmer chest, a steadier gaze. Name it in 5 words, warm chest, steady shoulders here. Repeat 1 micro move that created it. Another 4-4-6, another thumb-to-finger press, another tiny action. You're teaching your nervous system to tag the state and return on command. Over weeks, the echo becomes a call sign. You walk into a room, dial it, and the body remembers how you stand when you are you. A story under stage lights and lemon cleaner. Nura hated Q&A after talks. A single barbed question could bend her spine for days. Her anchor read, I am a grounded, honest explainer who answers one at a time. In rehearsal, she practiced not just the words, but catching the echo after answering. The warm chest, the low jaw, the eyes on one face. On stage, when the 3rd question slid sideways, she placed, proved with 1 breath and 1 sentence. Then she caught the echo warmth behind sternum, shoulders heavy but available, and named it quietly, warm chest here. She answered, paused, sipped water, and repeated the micro move, thump to finger press. The echo returned like a friendly bird to the same branch. Anxiety had no home to build in. Taste the air again. Neutral, coffee, water, feel the texture of something, wood grain, denim seam, a screen's coolness. Let the exhale lengthen. You're teaching yourself the flavor of being you. We need relapse proofing because identity wobbles when sleep thins or grief arrives. Build the drift net. It's not discipline, it's detection. 3 threads, a check-in time, a phrase, a person. Check-in time is a daily 2-minute window, often late afternoon, where you ask, "Did I live my line even once?" And you write 1 receipt. Phrase is a friendly alarm you set when you catch old patterns. "Come home," whispered on the exhale. Person is someone you text a single word to when drift is strong, anchor, and they reply with your core line. You've outsourced a fraction of memory to community. Even climbers clip a carabiner. A story on a Tuesday that smelled like rain in the hallway. Olu drifted for 3 weeks after a breakup, a little more scrolling, a little less aim, the focus circuit forgotten under piles of clean laundry. His drift net had the check-in at 4:30. On Tuesday, he almost skipped it. He sat anyway, wrote 1 receipt, asked for time box in meeting, and texted anchor to his friend Z. She replied with his line, "You are a steady, honest finisher 1 step at a time." He placed, proved by clearing a corner of his desk and writing 5 sentences. The echo returned like a scent. It didn't fix the ache. It reminded him whose ache it was. Touch the base of your skull with 2 fingers and breathe into the space behind your heart. Imagine your sanctuary room's light falling across your chest. Visuals are instructions for your nervous system. Give it a scene that tells the truth. Tie your anchor to the world you move through with the interface upgrade, a gentle redesign of how you meet recurrent contexts so they cue identity instead of threat. 3 interfaces: morning, thresholds, night. Morning, calibration you learned plus your core line spoken once out loud and written on a scrap that follows your first focus circuit. Thresholds, doors, logins, chairs become tiny bells. At each, you place, prove. Night and evening seal that includes your line and 1 archive entry. Lived, asked for clarity, lived, lowered temp before answering, lived, 1 clean no. Brains adore sameness, you're harnessing it. A story with sunlight on a kitchen table. Anna wrote her line, "I am a precise, warm builder who keeps promises to myself," on an index card beside the kettle. Morning, she touched the card while the water warmed, ran a 446, and wrote 1 verb sentence. Thresholds, she put a tiny dot sticker on her laptop near the camera. Each time she opened it, she whispered the line and proved by opening the right dock first. Night, she stood, rolled her shoulders, said, "Lived, finished the draft, next, send to Eloise," and tapped the page. 2 months later, no fireworks, just less drag. Anxiety still knocked. It didn't move in. Check your ears for heat. Imagine cool evening air. Roll your wrists like you're unscrewing a jar, then reverse. Feel your lower ribs expand side to side. Identity is a rhythm. Let your body hear the metronome. Sometimes identity conflicts with old rooms. You'll use the belonging without bending clause, a 2-sentence promise you keep when you're with groups that taught your nervous system to shrink. Before entering, speak, "I bring my line with me. If the room squeezes it, I will pause or leave." Then you pair it with the boundary compass and the 4-sentence line. Belonging is precious. Bending until breaking is expensive. Your anchor doesn't make you superior. It keeps you intact. A story at a family table with 2 bright lights and decades of scripts. Mari's anchor, "I am a calm, candid adult who chooses clean sentences." met an uncle who loved barbed jokes. Historically, her chest tightened, her voice pitched, the night burned. This time she placed at the kitchen doorway, then sat with her hands around a warm mug. When the barb slid across the table, she centered, then spoke her four-sentence line. Context, I hear a joke about me. Boundary, I don't do that. Option, talk about work or food. Care, I want this to be easy. The room shifted. The uncle tried again. Mari repeated the second sentence slower. The night didn't transform into a movie. It simply didn't scar. The anchor got to eat too. Let the breath lengthen by a beat. Taste the ghost of salt, sweet, coffee, nothing. Notice one line in the room and let your eyes rest there until your shoulders drop by a coin's thickness. Your body trusts you when you move like this. Identity rides that trust. To cement the OS, you'll write an identity contract with future you. Not grand, practical, one paragraph, one review date, 3 clauses, what I am, how I act under pressure, how I repair when I miss. Example, I am a clear, kind finisher, one step at a time. Under pressure, I breathe 4-4-6, say my line, choose the smallest true task, or speak the 4-sentence line. When I miss, I run aftershock, ground, gist, good, go, and repair cleanly. Review on the 1st of each month. Put it somewhere you can touch. Contracts are not cages, they are rails. A story in a notebook that smelled like paper and graphite. Jin guitar app, Canvas. Jin copied his contract by hand and taped it inside a closet door. On mornings when he thought, what's the point? He opened the door, touched the page and read. Some days the only proof was a dot on the Courage calendar and 3 chords. Months later, he looked back through the archive and discovered a person who kept promises on small days. That person was the one who could carry big days. Check your chest for the plate behind the sternum. Soften it by 5% with a longer exhale. Feel the warmth blooming in your palms when you rub them together. Hear the room, near and far. We're almost done with the stitching. Before we go, braid, anchor and proof into a live circuit you can run right now. Choose a task or conversation in front of you. Speak your core line once. Prime with 4-4-6 and spine zip. Place by touching sternum or jaw. Feel texture with thumb to finger. Prove by taking the smallest true action. Open the file, write the first sentence, schedule the call, lay out the shoes. Catch the echo, name it in 5 words. Acknowledge with a double tap. Archive with a dot, a line, or 1 ledger deposit. Then sit for 1 breath in your sanctuary room, imaginal or real, and say the identity turn out loud. I am the awareness, not the emotion. I am the one who acts as myself. A final story, soft and ordinary, because that's where identity either lives or dies. Late night, low lamp, you hover over a message you could send that would avoid conflict for 24 hours and cost you 7 days later. Your chest tightens, the screen feels too bright. You look at the smallest card on your desk and read your line. Your jaw loosens. You prime, place and prove. 4-4-6, thumb to finger, 1 clean sentence typed. Context, boundary, option, care. You catch the echo, warm sternum, quieter eyes, and seal with 2 taps. You archive a line, lived, spoke clean at night. You go to bed. Sleep is not heroic, it is earned. Hold the wire through your ribs and behind your eyes. You are not the storm's opinion of you. You are the one who anchors and proves. You are not waiting for a future version to arrive with a suitcase full of resolve. You are the version now who breathes, names, and moves as yourself. When you drift, you have a net. When you break, you have a repair. When you wake, you have a line. Breathe once more, cool in, warm out. Feel the chair, the floor, the air against your upper lip. Whisper your core line and take 1 smallest true action that fits the next 5 minutes. Tap the page. Stand or sit taller by a centimeter. The craft is installed. Tomorrow is not a test. it's a place to live. Today you'll graduate from practice into permanence. You're not chasing calm anymore. You're building a life that produces it as a side effect. The tools are yours, the breath counts, the ladders, the lines, the dials. Now you'll weave them into 3 durable structures that can hold you for years: the Seasons Protocol, the Legacy Loop, and the Relapse Radar. The Seasons Protocol tunes your craft to the natural cycles of your energy and context, so you don't fight winter with summer rules. The Legacy Loop turns daily moves into meaning that outlives moods. The Relapse Radar catches drift early and converts it into repair without shame. This is where techniques become culture. This is where you stop proving yourself and start expressing yourself. Begin with the animal that carries you. Feel the air at the edge of your nostrils, cool on the way in, warm on the way out. Unclench your teeth. Let your tongue rest wide and low like a calm manta ray at the seafloor. Notice where your body meets the world, back against the chair, sit bones holding you, heels in gravity's gentle grip. Hear the nearest sound, then the farthest, the breath in your throat, a car outside, a distant bird, or the soft electricity of a room. Anxiety narrows the lens, presence widens it. Widen it now. The Seasons Protocol begins with a simple confession. Your nervous system has seasons, daily, monthly, quarterly life phases. You are not a machine, you are weather with a spine. The protocol has 4 moves: read, refit, rehearse, respect. Read means you notice which season you're in: growth, sprint, maintenance, month, recovery week, grief season, launch season. You read by data, not drama, sleep hours, mood notes, hour ledger patterns, the texture of your breath. Refit means you adjust your dosage of each tool to the season. In a sprint, you run more focus circuits and upshift. In recovery, you champion downshift, glide path, and gentler aims. During grief, you widen weight on the uncertainty compass and privilege relate. Rehearse means you say the new rule out loud at threshold moments. Winter rules apply, smaller steps, earlier nights, launch rules, 1 focus circuit before any meeting, grief rules, 1 true connection per day. Irrespect means you do not apologize for the rules you're following. You publish them to your calendar, your team, your home in phrases that carry kindness and spine. A story to give it weight. In a studio that smelled like coffee and hot dust from the space heater, Mara ran a small design business. Summer was feast, winter was famine. Every winter she called herself lazy as light left the city at 5. This year she read, sleep later, mood dips by 3 in the afternoon, energy bright from 10 to 1. She refit, focus circuits at 11 and 12, client calls after 1, no new launches before March. She rehearsed, whispering at the doorframe each morning, winter rules, conserve, craft, care. She respected the rules, emailing clients with crisp expectations, design sprints Tuesdays and Thursdays, reviews after 1. The shame she used to wear like a coat loosened. Revenue didn't drop, it stabilized because her craft matched the weather. The season didn't own her, she orchestrated it. Notice the temperature at your temples. Warm, cool, neutral, name it. Feel your lower ribs widen sideways like a bellows. On the exhale, let your shoulders drop the height of a coin. These tiny signals tell your brain you have room, and where there's room, there's choice. Next is the legacy loop. Daily action divorced from meaning burns out. Meaning without action becomes slogans. The loop braids both. 4 turns: gather, give, grow, gift. Gather means you collect 1 proof a day that you lived your anchor, 1 dot on the calendar, 1 line in the trust ledger, 1 receipt you whisper. Give means you aim today's effort at someone or something beyond the mirror. A colleague's relief, a cleaner block in your neighborhood, a kinder bedtime for a kid, a bug fixed so a stranger's day is smoother. Grow means you write a single sentence at day's end, naming how the day stretched you, returned after a wobble, spoke clean in heat, chose rest over optics. Gift means once a week you distill one lesson into a 90-second note you hand to your future self or to someone else who might need it. The loop converts private wins into culture. Your brain learns it's building, not merely coping. A story with fluorescent light and lemon cleaner. Deshawn ran the night shift at a grocery distribution center. Anxiety rode shotgun every time the scanner beeped red and the line of pallets slowed. He started a legacy loop on a scrap he kept in his back pocket. Gather, dot for ran downshift when alarms stacked. Give, he walked the far aisle at 2 a.m. to check a temp reading so the next shift wouldn't inherit a mess. Grow, I caught the spike sooner, I'm the awareness. Gift, he recorded a voice memo on his way home, a minute of how the Psy pair calmed the crew, and sent it to his younger cousin starting a new job. Weeks later, he wasn't just surviving nights. He was laying track for the people behind him. Anxiety still visited. It sat in the passenger seat. It didn't grab the wheel. Taste whatever lingers in your mouth, coffee, mint, nothing. Hear near and far. Touch texture with your fingertips, the grain of a table, the seam of denim, the smooth cool of a mug. Your animal learns through texture. Your human builds through repetition. Together they make a home. Now the Relapse Radar, because drift is part of the design. You will forget, speed, snap, avoid. The radar has 3 beams: early, honest, easy. Early means you define 3 personal tells that you're sliding, jaw clamps by noon, tabs multiply, evening kindness fades. You post them where you'll see them. Honest means you name the slide without poetry. I am doom scrolling after dinner. I'm avoiding first sentences. I'm a 4 pretending to be a 3. Easy means you install the smallest interrupt that works within 2 minutes. The palm press reset, the 90-second weather rule, the doorframe rehearsal, the 1% friction move. The radar's motto is catch, confess, correct. No courtroom, only course correction. A story you might recognize. After a stretch of steadiness, you woke into a week that felt like a room with low ceilings. You snapped at a colleague, ate lunch in a scroll trance, skipped the evening seal twice. You ran the Relapse Radar. Early, jaw tight by 11, 3 abandoned tabs, that old taste of metal in your mouth. Honest, I'm a 4 while acting as a 3. Easy, you stood, rinsed your wrists, ran 446 twice, labeled sound surge, and wrote 1 clean repair line to the colleague. I didn't handle that the way I want. Here's what I meant. Next step is X. You lowered your number by 1. You moved a pebble. That was the win. The week didn't become heroic. It became trainable. Drift was not identity. It was weather. You remain the sky. Check your jaw again. Float the molars apart by a breath's width. Place the tip of your tongue behind your top teeth and let the back widen. Feel the warm ribbon of air brush your throat on the exhale. Lift your eyes to an imagined horizon line where wall meets ceiling, where street meets sky. Horizons tell the old mammal that ambush is unlikely. The old mammal relaxes. You get yourself back. You'll bind these structures with 1 final instrument, the Keystone Hour, 1 hour a week where you maintain your operating system instead of firefighting. You don't need candles and a monastery. You need a checklist that fits your life. The Keystone Hour includes a season read, a legacy loop review, a Relapse Radar tune-up, and a community contract check. Season read: what week am I in and what rules apply? Legacy review: scan your dots and receipts, write 1 paragraph to yourself titled "What's Working?" Radar tune-up: rewrite your 3 early tells if they've shifted. Community contract: You text one person your core line and your week's one promise. They reply with theirs. Humans regulate humans. Co-regulation is neuroscience, not weakness. The hour becomes the axle your week spins around. Wheels turn smoother. Anxiety has fewer places to hide. A story under Sunday light and coffee steam. Vera set her keystone hour at 4 p.m. on Sundays. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon. The apartment held the hush of afternoon. Season read said maintenance month, winter rules. Legacy review revealed she was most proud of 2 clean no's. Radar tune-up replaced late nights with skipping water and sunlight because that's where the slide actually began. Community contract went to her friend Carlil. Clear, steady finisher, smallest promise, 2 focus circuits before noon Tues/Thurs. He returned his line. 20 minutes later, she felt a lightness in her chest like a window opened. Monday didn't feel like a cliff. It felt like a staircase she had built. Science bridge, small and practical. Your brain loves schemas, stable patterns that predict what happens next. When you install weekly rituals, you reduce prediction error, which lowers amygdala activation and returns blood to your prefrontal cortex. In plain terms, you get your thinking back. Your autonomic nervous system reads sameness as safety. Safety breeds curiosity. Curiosity makes better choices than fear does. The keystone hour is sameness on purpose. Another sensory beat. Rub your palms together until heat blooms, place them one over the other and press gently. Feel the pressure across the heel of your hands. Release. This bilateral cue settles circuits that bristle under uncertainty. You are putting current back on rails. You'll close your training with one more narrative thread, the last mile story. It's a short scene you will replay whenever you feel like stepping off the path. It has 5 beats: door, breath, line, step, echo. Door is a threshold you face often, the inbox at 9 a.m., the gym doorway, the camera light. Breath is a single 446. Line is your core line, spoken once. Step is your smallest true action. Echo is the warm afterfeel you catch a name. You rehearse this 5-beat story like muscle memory. When the door arrives in real life, the body recognizes the scene and plays it without debate. A last story, ordinary and sacred. Early morning, streetlights still blinking like tired eyes. You stand at a door, the front door, the gym door, the dock with a blank page. Old you would negotiate with the weather. New you runs the last mile story without flair. Door, breath in 4, hold, warm exhale 6. Line spoken soft. I am a clear, steady finisher, one step at a time. Step, open the dock and type 9 words, or turn the knob and walk in, or set a 7-minute timer and begin. Echo, name it, warm sternum, shoulders here. You don't ask if you feel like it. You act as you are. That is what discipline really is, the expression of identity through action, scaled to the day you're in. Touch the back of your neck, invite length. Feel the fabric at your forearms, name its texture. Smell the room, paper, soap, rain, nothing. Hear the 2 distances. Your body is your instrument. You have tuned it. Before we seal the book, build your personal maintenance map. Think of it as a minimal playlist for staying yourself. Morning calibration with your core line and 1 focus circuit most days. Anchor at thresholds with the doorframe rehearsal. The hour ledger in rough weeks. The dimmer hour before sleep. The keystone hour on the weekend. The trust ledger entry at night. 1 courage receipt each day you climb a rung. You're not obeying a religion, you're running a studio. Studios make things. You will make days that feel like you meant them. A story in closing, held in the palm. In a month you haven't met yet, you'll face a surprise, an email that asks more than you plan to give, a health scare, a sudden opportunity. Your chest will tighten, the room will tilt. And then you'll feel your feet. You'll lengthen the exhale. You'll name your number and pick a switchboard route. You'll choose a compass point and speak a clean sentence. You'll climb one rung, set one focus circuit, run Aftershock if you stumble, put a stone on the calendar if you must wait, and seal one loop. You'll write a dot, whisper a receipt, send a voice memo to someone behind you. The day will end with dignity because you built a craft that holds you. That craft is not fragile, it's yours. Hold the identity line one final time so it threads your days like a quiet golden wire. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are the sky, not the weather. You are the builder of rails for your own electricity, the writer of clean sentences in hot rooms, the one who knows where your edges are and places them with care. When you forget, you remember faster. When you wobble, you repair kinder. When you fall, you glide back with smaller steps and gentler rules. That's mastery, not magic. That's emotional alchemy, not escape. You don't keep storms away, you make them useful, and then you aim the water where you choose. Breathe in cool and honest. Breathe out warm and kind. Feel your jaw loosen and your spine stack. See a line in the room and let it steady you. Whisper your core line. Take the smallest true step. Catch the echo. Tap the page. Walk into your life the way a craftsperson enters a studio, not to prove, but to create.